Yes, sir.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, ma'am.
I hope everyone is fine, doing well in this winter. So I'm starting in a while, just waiting for others to join because we have an important announcement in the starting. So I'm waiting for others to join so that they don't miss that important informations. So starting with the session, good evening, everyone. Respected dignitaries, hospitality experts, academicians, and dear participants. It is truly an honor to welcome you all to day 5, which is second last day of Atal Faculty Development Program, Flame to Feast, hosted by Faculty of Hotel Management at Pcte Group of Institutes. Let me begin by expressing my gratitude for your active participation, which has infused this program with energy and enthusiasm. To make today's session more engaging, let's start with a quick activity that can be said as warm-up question. As we have become a family now, so I think let's do some interaction first, then we start with the session. So my question to you all is, if you had to pick one dish that represents your personality, what would it be? Think for a moment. You can write it in chat box or you can raise your hand in between. So our organizer will unmute you and then you can, or you can unmute yourself and then you can tell us about which dish you want to correlate your personality with and reason for the same. Or if you don't want to speak, so you can write it in chat box also, so we will be able to see that. Let's see how creative our minds have become after hearing 8 sessions so far. Good evening, Komal ma'am. So are we having any of the dish which matches to the personality of anyone over here? Also, we can mention the chaat papdi, Mr. Harman Bhatia, have all the flavors. Okay, thank you. Rasmalai Komal ma'am, Manikandan sir, samosa. If you can also provide the reason why you want to correlate your personality with that particular dish, that will be great.
Actually, this is my Professor Manikandan.
Yes,
Actually,
sir.
many people say you are serious outside, but when we talk to you, you are so much fun and you are very soft. So
Okay.
samosa is hard outside and soft inside.
Soft inside. Plus, lot many infusions are there with paneer, with noodles, with so many things.
Yes,
Litti
yes,
chokha.
I have 30 years of experience, so much experience.
Okay, okay, sir. That's great.
Thank
Uh,
you.
Mr. Manoj Das has written Roshagulla. Sir, may we know the reason why you correlate your personality as Roshagulla? He's sweet. Komal Jalu ma'am is writing. Okay. Prashant Srivastav. Mr. Prashant Srivastav has written Litti Chokha from Bihar. Sir, reason please, if you can provide us the reason with that. Mr. Srivastav. We have one hand raised by Mr. Shubh Ayushman. So you can mute yourself and you can let us know which dish you correlate your personality with. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So, good evening, everyone. Actually, I'm just like biryani. As biryani bring a layer of flavors and richness, so just like that, I bring flavors and richness to my teaching, combining depth and warmth and spices, which resonate with the different aspect of my personality.
Great, great. Thank you so much. Do we have any other participant who want to correlate their personality with any of the dish, or we should proceed ahead with the session?
Hi, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Hi, Komal ma'am.
How are you, ma'am?
I'm good, ma'am. How are you?
So I just mentioned the ras malai. So that
Yes,
is liked by all the region in India, and I'll soft like ras malai. So I'm kind-hearted and listen to everyone. I think so.
that's great, ma'am. And that is my most favorite sweet dish. Although I don't like sweet dish much, but that is my most favorite sweet dish ever.
Thank you.
And Chef Sudhanshu Priyadarshi has written jalebi. Sir, do you want to consider it means as straight as jalebi or some other meaning? Chef Sudhanshu Priyadarshi. So they are just writing. They are not correlating why they consider themselves as Mr. Manoj Das also, Miss Chef Priyadarshi also. Atta chicken. Sir, if you can explain us about atta chicken and why you correlate your personality with them, that dish.
I think I correlate with it because it has to be made with a lot of patience and require a lot of time to bake it and cook it, cover it up, and it requires a lot of time. So I think being a baker, I have a lot of patience in me.
Okay, great. Okay, you are including the dish with your personality, with your job profile also. That's great.
Yes.
That's good, sir. Thank you. Do we have any?
Neon,
Yes,
we
ma'am.
want to ask the same question to you as well. To which dish you can, which dish represents your personality?
This game was from my side to you all. I mean, okay. Not to the dish, but I can say I can correlate myself with water, which goes with anything and combines, take the color of that thing. So I correlate my personality like this. If anything is given to me, be it any task, I jet into that task and I used to perform the task in that same way. So if I'm a teacher, I perform that way. If I am an anchor, let's say, so I perform that way. If I am teaching any of the subject, be it because I am front office teacher, but teaching tourism and other things, so that can be said. I have not thought for this question on me, but yet it came to me. Okay. Any other person who want to participate in that? Okay, so thank you so much, sir. Okay, so now before we jump into today's captivating session, let's quickly revisit the guidelines to ensure everyone gets the most out of this program and qualifies for certification. And please listen this very carefully, because that will help you tomorrow and to get the certification for yourself. So ensure at least 80% of attendance that remain eligible for the certification, and you all can check your attendance through AICTE portal. The attendance has been updated on regular basis. So that can be checked by you through AICTE portal in attendance column. Now achieve at least 70% of assessment to qualify for the certification. And kindly don't forget to submit daily feedback. That is also essential for getting the certification. Also, one very important thing, you will be getting the questionnaire in the assessment session sharp at 5 p.m. tomorrow, and the link will be available only for 1 hour. So make sure that you submit the questionnaire before the session, before it gets closed. So it will get closed at 6 p.m. So kindly make sure you do the questionnaire before 6 for the eligibility of the certification. Any question you all are having? So I'm happy to answer those.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
can you delay that by 1 hour? Because we have voting tomorrow and in the evening we have to vote. So if it can be after 6 p.m.
That I need to check with the organizers, but I think it will be. There are only 25 questions, and it is very easy. So if you can
But
spare
there are
the
long queues, ma'am. For voting, we need to use our democratic right. I'm sure that you can discuss with your boss and hopefully he will consider.
certainly, sir, I'll get it done. I'll discuss it. I'm not promising it, but I'll discuss it, and whatever best we can do, we will sure do that.
This is good
And where
promises
will
are
the
going to
link
be
be
broken.
provided?
Sorry, sir.
Where will the link be provided?
It will be sent in the group only, and
Okay.
that maybe assessment criteria that will be there. You can get the question, but the question link you will be getting in your WhatsApp group, which is created.
Okay. Thanks.
And somebody has asked for negative marking. There is no negative marking as far as I concerned, but these questions will be answered very shortly at the end of the session. I'll confirm all the things and I'll get back to all the questions very soon. Means at the end of the session, it will be done. Anything else I can help? Thank you so much, sir. So a culinary journey which we have done so far, which is started by Chef TK Razdan, who has banged with the deep dive into the foundation of culinary arts, was nothing short of inspiring. His expert insight into cooking method and their practical application left us all craving for more knowledge, as and maybe something more delicious, and maybe some of us have tried some of the dishes which has been discussed so far, or maybe when we are now working in the kitchen, we are having something in our mind going on that yes, we have discussed this, we have discussed those things. So I'm sure while in the kitchen now cooking, we'll be having certain things going across the mind. Now session 2, which was taken by Chef Gupta, has taken over the flavor-packed journey across India, celebrated its culinary diversity. His discussion on how Indian gastronomy fits into global menu planning made us realize how our cuisine can truly shine on international platform. Session 3, Chef Brigade Kumar, she has explained us about Anglo-Indian cuisine, a fascinating blend of flavor and history. Her captivating storytelling about the rise and fall of Anglo-Indian culinary tradition gave us all new appreciation for preserving heritage cuisine. Session 4, Dr. Sherry Kurian, we have explored the vibrant and often unrated Keralian cuisine with Dr. Kurian, from the spicy allure to puttu and cuddle to sweetness of paisam. He showed us why Kerala is truly culinary treasure trove. Chef Gunjan Goila, ma'am has told us about wake up call for, that was a wake up call for all of us, because now we are talking about eco-tourism or eco-food or sustainability. So her passion of sustainable cooking practices reminded us that being eco-conscious in the kitchen is not just trendy, but it is necessary. Dr. Abhay Chamoli brought us fresh perspective by highlighting the branding of hill cuisines. His focus on farm-on-table concept and the role of storytelling in promoting sustainable food tourism showed us how food can empower local community and bring their traditions to the efforts. Then session 7, the future trends of Sattvic cuisine, Chef Nishant Chaube explored the health-conscious dining, sustainability, and the simplicity Sattvic cuisine, blending traditions with innovation for holistic nourishment. Session 8 was delivered by Chef Aruna Tirke, and ma'am has explained about the cultural richness and modern potential of tribal cuisine, emphasizing heritage preservation through culinary innovations. As we move into today's session, we continue to explore the vibrant intersection of sustainability, innovation, and tradition with two exceptional speakers who will surely leave us inspired and hungry for knowledge. Stay tuned, stay engaged, and let's make day 5 a feast of the mind and soul. Thank you all to be. Let's dive in. Now let's talk a veteran of hospitality industry. Rather, I must say the godfather of hospitality industry. It is our distinct honor to present Chef Sudhir Sibal, a true luminary in culinary art and unparalleled career spanning over 45 years, which is not even some of our age. So he is having experience of 45 years. It is huge, actually. It is truly an honor to introduce one of the most distinguished figure in culinary world, Chef Sudhir Sibal. When we think of culinary innovations, leadership, and a passion for elevating hospitality standards, Chef Sibal's name shines brightly. With an extraordinary career spanning over 45 years, Chef Sibal has not just been a participant in evolution of culinary arts, he has been a trailblazer shaping its very path. An executive board member of Indian Federation of Culinary Association, which is IFCA, and a proud member of World Chef Without Borders, Chef Sibal stands the forefront of global culinary advocacy, fostering collaborations across borders and celebrating the universal language of foods. Comparatively, when many chefs achieve distinction in single domain, Chef Sibal impact is multifaceted. While his tenure as vice president of hotel at ITDC solidifies his status as a transformative leader in India's hospitality industry, his editorial uh, stewardship of Culinary Digest, India's first culinary magazine, showcased her commitment to education, inspiring and nurturing the emerging talent. Like a maestro, a symphony, Chef Sibal has harmonized tradition with innovation, ensuring that Indian culinary art gain the global recognition that deserves. Whether leading at the executive level of championship culinary diplomacy, his contribution resonates far and wide. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Chef Sudhir Sibal, a visionary leader in exceptional culinary artist and a guiding light for the next generation for hospitality professionals. We welcome Chef Sibal to express his knowledge to the audience so that we can be graceful by hearing you. Over to you, Chef.
Thank you, Jyoti ji. You've been very kind and with your words and praises. I'm not all that, though I have served the industry for quite some time, but and then it's always a learning for me as well, because I find this program very interesting, the AICTE and your initiative. The way you started the program with that quiz also is something which to link it with the chef's personality also, which very well goes with the topic which I'll be doing.
Always my pleasure, sir. Always.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'll be sharing the screen with you. The topic, as you all are aware, is creation of future chef. Are you able to see this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So to start with, I just wanted to start with a quote from Bhagavad Gita, which says, "You eat what you are, and you are what you eat." From Bhagavad Gita, chapter 17 of 7 to 10 verse. And this gives you a glimpse of what exactly are you are. It gives your personality. It gives your shows what how you eat, and what you eat makes the personality, your character. And this is how I know there are a number of characteristics which a chef should have, but I go with very simple and with an aptitude and attitude. There are two aspects which are very common and important for a chef or any personality. Aptitude is where you have learn the technical knowledge, the whatever you are pick up from your homes or from your college or school or otherwise, but and which can be picked up and can be picked up at a later stage also. But I still feel the attitude is important. This is one aspect which a person must have, which gives you a little away. I think which gives you a little personality, which helps you in giving you the attitude, whether it's a camaraderie or group sharing, group task, whether it's looking after your own employees, the HR aspect of their personality of your job. So this attitude makes a person going. Aptitude could be learned and picked up from whether you're using life attitude or aptitude, but attitude is one which one grasps from the family. I think we need to be very well versed with the attitude which you grasp from the very beginning, from your family, from your home, from your school, from your early education and early life. And that is by the discipline, living as a teamwork associate, or looking after your employees or staff or even your colleagues, how you behave with them, that is the attitude which a person requires whenever. Even if you are not good at your own, I mean, not a perfect or the best in your own trade, you can always, your attitude will also bring you back to the level which you can earn or make a name for yourself. Going by, this is one aspect which I think is the basic of everything. But college or school, you learn all the things in your that is taught to you. But the basic which we always forget is the basis of cuisine, which the students, especially the students, they forget to ignore this. They do it only for the exam. But if you are good at your basic, whatever basic is being taught in the institute or in this college, will make you can then develop and master that. So master the basic of cuisine is very important. So if you are, whether you are chopping using the knife, making doughs or breads or rolls and chapatis or rumali or anything or in kebab, so you should know the basics of that cuisine and master that. Once you do that, then you have the world at your feet. Then you can always, interpret, you can innovate, you can, change your style. You can introduce certain, whether mixing spices, mixing ingredients, mixing various things to suit your own innovation, or whatever you feel would help or make it during the season also, according to the land wherever you are working. So the basic thing is required, which you should impress upon your students, is the basics of cuisine. That should be mastered by everybody. Whether it's making of stocks, sauces, gravies, or marinades, or cutting of vegetables and fruits, or making of baking basic paste and pastries. That is, so we should introduce that. And once you are through with it, thorough with it, you can always work on whatever, because then you have a lot of opportunity to come out with a lot of activities. You need to know the rules, whatever rules are there for whatever has been taught or has been prescribed in your, whether by through a journal or by through a recipe. That is the first point you should be always taking care of. And once your basics are right, they are your mastery in that, then it becomes very easy for you to keep trying. And we did that. We did that. We would in the hotels also, I remember, would give them a chance to the chefs or cooks or all department to come out with any innovative dish on a particular day. We had set actually Wednesday morning, Wednesday lunchtime, they would come out with some dish, but each department, whether it was soup, sauces, or even bakery, patisserie, everywhere, and they used to come out some dishes. And you won't believe it, there were some basic items, nothing great to talk about, but people, the chefs, the cooks, they had some, they felt they could do something, they tried something, and they came out with something which they tried, or using their own from wherever they belong to. A person coming from Uttarakhand or maybe Kerala would use a product from his own or her area and use it in the dish, and that really made a difference. I remember, just to quote a few examples, anecdotes, Jigs Kalra and he had come to our office, and I remember we were the same day we were discussing something, and then the chefs brought these items. And there was one item of Karela chicken, something which usually is not very common. So it was a julienne of chicken cooked with Karela. Karela is a bitter gourd, and he liked it so well. He never thought that this could be could be combined and used in our cuisine. And of course, we tried it in different, but it's a thing which something interesting. So was Arbi with mutton curry, Rogan Josh, mutton curry, not Rogan Josh, mutton curry with Arbi. That was tried, and then I remember the same day Sanjeev Kapoor was there. He had come to meet me from Bombay, and he picked up that item and he did that presentation in his the show presentation. So what I wanted to convey was that once you are mastered your own art or your basics, then you keep trying. Then you can do whatever you wish to. It is there could be items which may not suit. There are items which you have to take care of, which I'll be talking later on also in my presentation, which are compatible to each other or not compatible. That's you have to be careful about it because of their own the next their own characteristic, their own doshas and other things which people need to know. Just to start with it is actually we've been learning about how a chef should be, what are the qualities which we have been reading in our school, college or institutes. They have been all prescribed by the French chefs. They were the first one to rule this thing, but you remember Nal's King Nal, who in the 5th century he started with this wrote a Pak Shastra, and where he talked of how a cook or a person who does cooking should have those qualities. So there are certain things which he prescribed, and this is surprisingly we were not promoted this so far as the Indian gastronomy is concerned. But our gastronomy is so rich, though the French and the Europeans have been mastering there, I remember the Italian, they have their own school. They started much earlier in the 5th or 7th century. Then of course, the cordon bleu started in 19th century, and they are doing one of the first cookery cuisine school where they taught in an organized way. But we had this Pak Shastra, which gave certain characteristics which were already being practiced by, which were recommended by who was thought to be a interested, very well versed with the Indian gastronomy. So the cook should have certain qualities, should have some. He should be vigilant. Vigilant in the sense like he should be active. He should know what is happening all around. He should not be lost in his own section or department, but should be knowing what is going on in his department, what is happening, and well versed in science also, in the sense like how what temperature in an item is added, what temperature or what is the qualities of certain things, whether it's acidic or base. Then combining those items, he has to be careful. He needs to be certain fruits which cannot be used in the dairy, or there are certain things which should not be added to each other. Maybe honey with ghee and heated like that, it becomes a poison as such. So the science, basic knowledge of science has to be understood. Should have. That's the reason we always say, and you get these items by even basics can be learned by practice, by experience also, because then you are taught by your seniors also. Don't add this to this item, so it will not work. It will curdle it. It will have a bad effect. It will have not a soothing effect on the person who consumes it. So there are certain things which a person must know. In the meantime, I will suggest, in case you have any questions or queries, just keep asking. You can always go ahead with it. The next is he has to be very clean. Keep the area clean. He himself should be clean. He should be clean in the sense like once he comes here, he should take a bath, clean his hands and feet, and at the same time have wear clean clothes. Should be devoted. And should be seriously in the work he is doing. He should involve himself. He should concentrate on the work he has been assigned to. He should have pure thoughts. Thoughts would if you have good thoughts, you come out with a good product. This is one is required to and this can only be done if you are devoted, if you have believe, follow some whatever religion or god or saints you have. So then you have pure thoughts. Once you have pure thoughts, you will certainly be able to concentrate on the work. Then the mindful of diners requirement. You should know what is you're cooking food for. If you're cooking food for your own children, for your family, for your parents, senior citizen, your parents, or a school-going child, or even a guest in the restaurant or hotel, or even institutional catering. So you need to know what his requirements are. Whether a child can be given more of chilies or more of a spicy or a distinct food. But at the same time, you have to ensure that he gets or she gets nutritious food. And special needs. There are certain people who have allergens. You have they're diabetic, or maybe with a mild BP, or then these things. You have to take care of special needs of the people over there. Should be calm in sense like shouldn't be very agitated or irritated. You should be very controlled, generous, helpful to your colleagues, to your juniors, to your seniors. You need to come out with, if somebody needs a help, you need something to be given to them, you should come out to be. And a person should have a quality or a personality which is fit to be honored. This is what a characteristic of a cook or a chef is required to be. He should be talking using very measured words, very limited controlled words. He cannot be talking going out of his mind and coming out with using short words or words which are not appropriate for people, and especially dealing with ladies and children, you have to be very careful. I remember people when we entered the industry, there were certain cooks. We had people coming from specific region only, who were very particular in this cuisine. Like we had the continental cuisine being cooked by either the Kai from Dhaka, from Bangladeshi cooks, or from Goanis. These were the people who used to work in the hotels earlier, because hotels earlier people were working in the kitchen. I'm talking about almost 50 years back, and then the people started coming from in the areas like Indian or Tandoor. We had from Uttarakhand and all that. So, and for the pastry, it was from Dehradun area, and that was the area where we had the best, the good pastry chefs coming from there, making cakes and all that. So you have to be kind and charitable, of course. Knowledge of metals. This is very important. A person should know how whether it's what metal the food is being cooked, and if you're adding acid to it, it should not react to it. Whether it's being mitti ke bartan hai, or is it aluminium, which may have an effect. Of course, aluminium are totally banned by the FSSAI, but helium or other stainless steel is one which is being like, or even pressure cooker, other. So the metals use, knowledge of metal has to be there. Even the kachhi and other things, spatula which you use should have, or you need a wooden handle with it so that you can, the chef or the cook who uses it doesn't get heated up for that. Of course, this knowledge of seasons. For each season, you have a different food, different type of, uh, availability. The foods are available. The nature is given such a way that the foods which are available during the season are compatible to you, or to the consumers, to the human beings, to benefit them. So if you like, you have summers, you get food, vegetables or fruits which are more, more with water content. So since the body reduces the water with lot of sweat and all, so you get shortage of water, and that's how all those vegetables, ghee, tori, and even fruits like watermelon and melon and mangoes, they're all available during the season, is to fulfill the quantity of shortage of whatever liquid is there. The condition of man according to the age, that of course you have to see whether a woman or a child, where you're cooking for a child, or a school going, or a baby who's infant, or maybe a a lady who's just given birth to a child. So for them, or even a senior citizen, so you have to see whether the what you have to see the type of food which they require, what is the nutrition, or even a sportsman, because a sportsman would need more of nutrition, more of calories, so his food is different from a child, or from a person who's a blue collared or a white collared person. So these things have been assigned, prescribed by ages much earlier, and which we've not been able to. When we talk of Indian gastronomy, we forget that our gastronomy is so rich. It's so it is everything was prescribed during that period. How our food used to be. Our grandparents, our ancestors, they knew, and this was already prescribed in by way of either writing or through Vedas and other thing. Vedas, the gastronomy, Ayurveda started from there, and that's how they were able to give a lot of insight on what food should be, how it should be eaten, how should it be cooked, how should it be consumed, and for whom, and what age. So this is what is Ayurveda. Ayurveda, of course, you are aware. We had before Vedas, and other way. And Ayurveda is a part of that. And from there, of course, we had the yogas and the yoga and the Sushat, who would do the surgery, was also taught through during the period. But our cooking, food, our habit, our doshas, our how a person's personality is, that is all given through was prescribed during that period. So gastromantics is the semantics, is what is there in the food which has been prescribed by in the Ayurveda, which gives you the 5 elements: space, air, fire, water, and earth. We are all aware of these things. There's nothing which is not there, but at the same time, you need to, like the space was hollow and light, like we have the puffed rice or the popcorns on the cabbage and radish for the air, vayu. Fire, the agni, the hot, dry, rough, pepper, clove, they were a part of that thing. Water was, when you have moist, soft, and stock. So that was and for the earth, Prithvi, you have the heavy, rough, and solid. So these are few things which were there. Then the senses, of course, we all are aware. So you go by this sight, touch, smell, sound, and taste. Everything, whatever you do, we have to go by. The food looks good, only then you get attracted. And for the sight, we'd say, it makes a person, the saliva, and all these things, whatever the points are, the senses, which have a lot of effect on how a food is attracted to, is looked into. If a food is well sort of, it looks nice, it's well presented, it has colors, all the balanced colors, it attracts a person. His appetite increases, and that's why he wants to consume that food. He goes for it. So the sight is very important, and goes, of course, by the eyes and all. Touch, until you touch a food, it gives by touching a food, even while cooking, a person knows whether the food, whether it's been cooked, whether the roll has been, or bread has been cooked to the extent, or by touching the item, you learn from there the quality, the production, the finish of that product. Smell, of course, smell when you start, whether it's tadka lagaya, so even you get that smell, and the food is, or when the mixing of any flour, or cooking in the rice or other items, sabji, in your ghee or oil, you get that crackle, you get that smell, and you get to know that it is cooked. So you can always add the next item to it. Sound, of course, it gives it's interesting sound, like when you if you remember, people coming with the taka in your neighborhood, who would come and make that sound of a tikki being sold. So you will that sound itself gives you, or even breaking of a papad, or a popcorn. All this sound makes a person feel, appetite is increases. That it helps in making a person a choice, or going for food. Taste, of course, is the most important. Taste would mean, you go by whatever, after tasting, you are able to understand what the food is, how could that. It could look nice, but it may not taste. It may have more of chilies, or may have more of spicy, or it may not have salt. So all these things help you in, the five senses are very important. So you need to know sight, touch, smell, sound, taste. They all combined together make a person, a dish, a very important aspect. Strands, these are the three gunas which have been prescribed by this, again, by the Ayurveda, the Sattvic, the Rajasic, and Tamasic. Sattvic, of course, is very pure and clean, neat. It gives you that feeling of, you think good, you do well in that. That is Sattvic. Rajasic is very royal. When people want to enjoy the food, they need to appreciate, or make make rich items out of the whole. Sattvic is very simple. Rajasic is making it little more elaborate with adding certain items or spices to make your dish a little interesting, or to, but that doesn't make it the way a sattvic thinks, because sattvic would certainly have his pure mind. He will come up with good ideas. Is the, like the Brahmins and the Pandits, who they are sattvic. Rastic are the people like kings and Vajis and all that, who they enjoy, the noble people. Tamasic is the people who are they take all scrap, whoever is the food which is not good for rotten food, or food which is not good for the health. So they are always drowsy. They are they don't want to work. They feel tired. They're sleepy. This is how habit the tamasic would. The doshas are the body itself, is made of three doshas, and is the body would is the way it behaves, and it could be a combination of all this: the pitta, vata, and kapha. They are part of your body formulation, which gives you a feeling where you could be, like to have more of spicy food, more of chilled food like water or ice creams, or ice and other things, or could be people having very light and noble food. So this a combination, and this is very, it could be a combination of pitta and kapha, or kapha and vata. So they are combined together a body, and this can be prescribed by even they are the experts in the science, would just look at your wrist and your pulse, and they are able to tell you what dosha you have, and accordingly you decide your food habits. You in fact decide on your the diner also. Once you know the dosha of your diner, you're able to decide on what the menu should be, how much food and what should be given to him. Of course, we are all familiar with the six savors: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, pungent, astringent. They are very common. I mean, they have been there for it's been we've all been learning or been taught about these things. These are sweet and sour. You are all aware. It all depends on certain weather, climate conditions also, where you start feeling to have these items. It could be a combination of sour and sweet during the winters, or bitter during the rainy season, or all those things which you will be decided on what how the food should be. So during that certain climate conditions, weather conditions, you decide on how that food savor has to be. Seasons, of course, are rather than 4 seasons, which Ayurveda prescribes 6 seasons. They call it cold, spring, summer, monsoon, and autumn, winter. Ours is, when you take our this period is the cold till the 15th of January, and then we have the winter till the 15th of March. From this, that's the time when you can, like just an example, cauliflower is one which is good during this period, especially during this cold. But cauliflower is available throughout the year. Similarly, carrots. These are the vegetables. Similarly, when you have summer, vegetable fruits which more of water content will be there. Monsoon will have different vegetables which will add to your, because of the weather condition, the body inside. And the winter you need to have take care of your cold which is there in your body inside. So you have to give warmth to your body, and then those warm items are given. Peelings, they are important again, which have been prescribed, whether they are there for dance, for music, for art, for everything, and for food as well. So, Shingar, Hasya, Adbhut, they like you have the Madhura, sweet, they say, do you have the feelings of Shingar is love, Hasya would be joy, Adbhut would be wonder. You feel Shant would be calmness, and Rudra would be courage, anger, Virya, courage, Karma would be sadness, and Bhai, fear, and Vibhatra, disgust. So these feelings are also there, which it depends on what time of the a person, whether you are in there's a marriage, or there's a occasion where a child is being is born or celebrated, or there's a death. So all over there, then different foods are served, different things are served according to that. Yeah, the important aspect which we all need to know or understand is the regional, which we have not been. We always go in for whatever French or the European food is. We learn that we don't go in for what our own regional food is. Then you remember. The regional, you go for whatever, you need to be expert in that, because whichever region you're coming from, it could be any part of the country, and each region has its own qualities and greatness. The food, the environment, the requirement also of the people is different. So we should be learning more of that, and mastery that. You may, of course, do whatever job you have been doing, whether it's in the pastry or continental or any other cuisine, Chinese or regional. But regional food has to be learned and picked up very, seriously. We should, and this is what the requirement would be. This will be the future, and we have been sharing this in the international forums also. Now competitions are there. We've been, showing the even, in fact, the hotels are also now, showing the regional food of to their clients, to their guests. So they are able to, but the regional food should be emphasized. That is one aspect which I think should be, very well seriously taken by all of us. If you have any questions, we can certainly, address them also in between. Fresh. Food has to be fresh. This is, you can't. Okay. Dr. Manoj Kumar Dashti. Yeah. What's your question, please? Yeah. 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 No. Okay. If you're not able to, or maybe you want to do it later on, we can. The fresh food, that is very important. If you are able to get fresh food for your wherever you are, there's nothing like it. Fresh food, and we are very fortunate in our country that we are able to get this food available throughout the year. and in all the regions. We may have to bring most of the items, I would say, except, they are available. Sorry. And so the freshness of the food is a very important aspect for cooking. If you have fresh items, which will certainly make the dish very palatable, it comes out and gives all those nutrients which are there. Otherwise, using a frozen or a dehydrated or a would only for the purpose of, when you run short of any item, that's the time when you can use those. But yeah, there was a question on can we scale the taste? When you're talking of taste in what sense? Then you have to take care of all these things. Taste is not just tasting by your tongue only. Is tasting will mean a combination of all aspects of the food, which we have now discussed. Whether it has the pungency, the salt, and the other things, to the exact quantity, which will be there, so that you are able to taste it. And to improve on the taste would depend on when you serve the food, like you want to add a little more of seasoning to your food, or maybe a herb over there to add to your own liking. That is when you or you want the chef to cook it for yourself as per your liking. You could always suggest that, and could have more of sweetness. Like I have a sweet tooth, so I always go in for more sweet items. So this is adding to the taste. And have somebody else also. Yeah, Anup Kumarji, yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, Dr. Manoj Kumarji, please go ahead. Can somebody unmute them? Should I continue? Okay. Fresh, I've talked about fresh. Let's go by the seasonal.
Hello, chef. Good evening.
Good evening. Sorry. Yeah, Doctor.
Hello.
Yeah, tell me. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Dr. Manoj.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello,
Are you able
chef.
to see? Yeah, please go ahead. Are you able to hear me? Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Doctor. Bolo, please.
Sir, yes, sir.
Yeah, बताओ. Tell me.
Sir, we are able to hear you.
Okay, go ahead. You were asking a question. Yeah. Please,
Sir,
what's
we
your
have
query?
unmuted. So anybody wants to ask you the question, they can ask now.
Okay, please go ahead. Yeah. Oh, thank you, dear.
Hello.
Yeah.
Chef, am I audible to you?
Yeah, please. You go ahead.
Okay,
Very well.
Sir, very good evening, sir. Actually, it is a very nice topic you are giving your inputs. It is very welcome, sir. Sir, one thing to ask you, please. Sir, actually, nowadays the fusion foods are available in most of the places and most of the restaurants. So, according to the Sattvic, Rasik and Tamasic, under which category this will come, sir?
When we say adding to your different food, can I answer this? Yeah. They would come in the Rasik because they are not pure and simple. When you talk of a pure, a meal, whatever vegetarian, because once you are combining 2-3 items which may not go with it, it's a would not you have the characteristic of a particular specific dish. That would mean it's a going towards the Rajastic side. So it will be a Rajastic combination. But at the same time, because you are adding it because you need to have a better taste or a different taste. Otherwise, the simple food would be, अगर आप अगर if you're making a लौकी की सब्जी बना रहे हो तो that's a basic. But if you're adding something to that and making a different combination in a continental style and a plated food, that will make it it will not be as simple or as proper as Sattvic food.
Exactly, chef. So similarly, chef, similarly, molecular gastronomy also plays a great role nowadays in the modern restaurants.
Yes.
So the structure of the food is totally changed. So can we come under the same tamasic or rajasic? That is what is my question, chef.
Okay. First of all, why these foods were right, because people wanted to, or the chefs wanted to do something different. When they had the scientists working with them, or chefs who had the scientific, bent of mind, they studied the basics of science, and they wanted to utilize this aspect. That's how this molecular, cuisine came into being. It has its own, it gives you, we will never claim them to be a Sattvic food. It will be until it is only one specific dish or a simple item which has converted into a molecule or in that way. Then it can be called a Sattvic. Otherwise, when you're combining different foods or different ingredients in that particular dish and making it, that becomes, and it's a changeover from what your basics are. So you are adding on to whatever, because of the taste or the requirement of the guest, or a presentation because it looks nice. It preserves the food also. So these, but it is not that Rastic is bad for the body. It is not as good as a Sattvic food. Sattvic is pure, but Rastic is people still have that, and this is what you eat in the restaurant is also a Rastic food.
All right, chef. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hope I'm able to answer your question.
Yes, chef. I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anup ji?
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, actually, my question is, if sir, I offer some food to any normal people,
Right.
and I ask about how was the taste. So he simply answer it was good or bad. So how I will scale it in the form of taste, flavor, and everything.
When you are, like Jyoti was asking for the feedback from you people, and you say that the seminar or the workshop went off very well. But it's okay. That gives the impression it's go okay. But if you keep giving detail on how that lecturer was, how that person was, how the content was, and how was the response from this, whether it was a part of your syllabus. So you have to come out with some detail. So when you're talking of a dish, when he says good or bad, you have to ask what was good about it, what was bad. Until they come out with whether taste was good, whether the ingredients were good, whether it satisfied them, whether it was fulfilling, whether it was all those things, aspects look at, or even the price wise, money for value. That also, they all add to your in the restaurant. So I think all these things, rather than just saying good or bad, makes a what is required.
Right, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Yash Mehta ji.
Hi, good evening, chef.
Good evening.
Chef, I have a question. As you said, the tamasic food that gives you lethargicness. So and it includes the non-veg product as well. It includes fish and spices, garlic and onion. but most of these ingredients are more of energetic and protein content, and many of them additional quality, just like garlic. So it is just like counterproductive.
Yeah, no, you mean contradicting, not counterproductive, because when you're adding these items, if you take it as it is in good quality, that makes it tamasic. They have the characteristic. If you use it in the right way, in the right quantity, then it helps you, because in your food also, in the gastronomy also, they tell you how much quantity which you need to add to, even in the Italian cuisine, it's the garlic is added initially, or maybe it's later, and when the food is ready. In Indian food also, you make a tadka or a chonk of garlic. So these are things which, to some extent, but if you have a garlic food in totality, that is because there are certain religion also you are aware of, who treat this onion, garlic, and all that as,
Exactly, sir.
yeah. So, but at the same time, it all depends on your preferences. But I think we have to go by your own gut feeling. What do you? I don't want to, prescribe on these things, but little bit of everything is okay. In moderate is I still believe personally that in moderate use of anything, any food is okay. But if you use it or consume it in a large quantity, it is not good for health or otherwise also.
All right, chef. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, chef.
Yes, okay. If there's no one, then we can go ahead with the next. The seasonal, of course. When you are in winter, you need this cold. You need to warm up your body, so you need food which are warm in nature, where you give you warmth in. In summers, like I was talking about the food, the nature provides that food accordingly. It is not, God has given us this. We are so, kind to the human being, that God has, provided all these things all of its own. We didn't have to ask for it. The and the season during the winters or during the monsoons, the food is accordingly is available. Is available on the way the land is, the soil is. If you're in the mountainous area, or in the near the sea or the ocean, the food is different, and so is your the local food. Still people prefer to. I mean, of course, earlier when people used to get food, when they've been moving around in various countries, and they've tasted and they've tried, so they ask for the same food to be available in their restaurant or in the market. But we've seen, as far as the gastronomy also says, the local food are the best for the person, for the human being. Of course, for taste purposes, or for once in a while, for the marriages, for other functions, for other things, you can always try that out. Or once in a month, you are going out to a restaurant, you can try certain items which are not available, or they are not locally produced. But food which is local, it is in fact said that in an area of 100 kilometers, if you are able to get food, I mean, that's not a fixed item, but just to give you an idea, food, the vegetable fruits should be used from that area only. It will have a good effect on if they are of the best quality, first of all. Secondly, they are good for the people who consume it, for the consumer, for your guest, for your family, or for your others. So it is always preferred to use the local food, whatever is available. Of course, slow food, if you've heard of slow food, that's the just opposite of fast food. This what Carlo Petrini is, an Italian person who started this in, about 40, 50 years back, 1982 or so. He in Italy, when the McDonald's was opening their outlet over there, one of the outlet, he, along with his own people over there, they started this movement. They opposed it because the fast food culture was picking up, and he wanted slow food where the food which is being the way it is being eaten or produced by or cooked by your ancestors or seniors or your parents or grandparents was recommended rather than going in for fast food. For that, they had certain criteria which they always prescribed was the good, clean, and fair. These are three major aspects of slow food. Of course, the movement has picked up. The movement is not only for food now; it's for even travel and other things also. But about the slow food, they not only recommend food to be good, clean, and fair for the consumer, for the producer, for the farmers, for the people who consume it also. So all the chain, everybody should ensure that the food is clean and he gets a fair price for his the farmer or the arti and all that those people when they bring it to the market. It should be good and clean. It's fit for human consumption. It should not be bad for consumption. It is not a spoiled or with a pesticide. All these things they take into account when they produce the food. So the slow food movement started, and they wanted the local food, local produce, and it should be in a good, and everybody gains out of it. The person who grows it, the person who buys it and cooks it, and the consumes it. So this movement has started, and they've been having. We've had one or two movements here also. We have a slow food alliance in India as also, Chefs Alliance, and our chefs have demonstrated in the whatever every year they have their movement. Nowadays it's only online, but otherwise it used to be there, and we have all been there. Most of the chefs have been to those Italy where this conference took place, and we learn and we share ideas. And especially in Northeast was quite. We had a an activity in Shillong a few years back. So this something which is always good at certain moments which are good for the human beings, for our society. Tasting a food before you give it to a customer, when you cook a food, then you have to ensure that you taste that before you give it to a customer, to a guest or to your family. You cook it, give it to them. So when you taste that, then you analyze whether it has some thing to finish, whether it's to cook properly. The rice is cooked, the pulao or the sabji or the whatever else. Whether does it have enough of seasoning or sweetness, or do you require more to be done? Then you adjust that, and after adjusting whatever quantity, or whether it's cooked or whether it's overcooked, you have to see to it, and then you again taste it. And if you're not still satisfied, you repeat the process again. So make this as a habit. This TAAT, TAT, taste, analyze, adjust, and taste. This should be the principle for any chef to cook food, and to before it is being presented, they should see to it. Right? The food has to be nutritious. Of course, that's a responsibility. The chefs have a very greater responsibility than because we not only provide food, cook food, but we have to look into the nutritious aspect of our diner also, whether it's a family or your public, the restaurant or hotel or wherever you're working. So you are feeding those people. We're feeding when people, you have to see that it is good for them. It is not only good for their body, mind, and soul. So you have to ensure that food is. That's why Satvik and other things come into So hygienic, of course, these are things which we have all learned. It has to be hygienic. It has to be pure. It has to be clean. It has to be neat. It has to be, before it is cooked. This becomes our, the prime responsibility of a person who cooks food or who does that. It has to ensure that his area is clean, his utensils are clean, his food, his ingredients are clean, and then they are cooked and presented in a very hygienic way. Of course, personal hygiene and other things. These are basic things which I think you have been teaching to your students also. Balanced. Of course, the food has to be balanced in all aspects. Balance when you
Chef,
say,
sorry to
yeah, sorry.
interrupt.
Yeah,
Chef, sorry to interrupt. Can you just repeat the full form of TAAT at once?
yeah. That is taste, analyze, adjust, and taste.
Thank you, Chef.
Okay. So balance, food would be what has been taught in our this thing to ensure that all aspects of protein, hydrocarb, all those things, fats, and everything is in proper combination. It's good for your health balance. But I still feel that as far as the Indian gastronomy is concerned, we have to go by little other things also. That food which should have all aspects of eating or drinking or licking or that has to be swallowing is a combination of all. If you are able to give that menu product, then it becomes a little interesting, and it's a balanced food because it gives you have to chew the food. You cannot consume it until you chew it so well. It becomes almost like a liquid. You drink liquids of water slowly. You don't go, by the way, when you're a little thirsty. But ensure this. These are a few things which have been taught in our Indian gastronomy also. And of course, on time. Whatever time you eat your food, please ensure that the food is served during that time. You have your breakfast, lunch, or dinner, whatever meals you're having during that time. That is gives a system in your body to digest, to assimilate, to make it. It gives a message to your brain also, and it takes almost like a maximum of 30 minutes for a person to know whether he is fully satisfied with the food, is the food is digested to have, otherwise he may keep on eating. So that's how when you eat so fast, so that is how you get overeating is done. Pass it on. You must share whatever recipe, whatever idea, whatever the way you see ingredient being used, anything which you learned or picked up, pass it on. Pass it on to your students, to your colleagues, to your people because the more you do, the more you gain, the more respect you gain, the more it is good for the humanity also. Sustainability, as I know you've been already done this chapter before. Sustainability, you have to ensure that not only food, your way of getting things done is also needs to be sustainable. It's sustainable for the environment, for the earth, for it has to be, you cannot for your employer also. So sustainability is very important, especially for one of the important after your nutrition of your the diners. Sustainability is equally important. Waste not, of course. This I don't need to stress more on this thing. There are millions of children who go sleep hungry, and that's really sad. So please make it a point not to waste food. Consume, take, and this is the responsibility of a chef only. And we used to I remember when we had functions initially. I'm talking about late 80s, when we had marriages and food. Earlier we used to give food to charity organization, a Christian organization who would come and pick up the food in our hotel. Plenty of food when we had, but then society, organization, a person started this. So they only brought this aspect of keep collecting food from all hotels, whatever was surplus, and they made it a point to check and give it to the needy people, to especially organized way, not in they'll not go to in a slum, but to children where at that time. Now, of course, the government has also started a lot of programs are there, lunch, school time lunch they get. But earlier, that time when I remember the food, they used to collect food, ensure that, and the only principle was the food which has to be given as a surplus food would be tasted by the chef himself. So you ensure that the food which you give it to somebody for eating is worth eating. Otherwise, people, what you tend to do is when it's spoiled, only then you give it to people. When it's not good for your own consumption or for your family, only then you give it. I would now, if you have, then of course the chef needs to be tech savvy. We need to understand. I know during a period we were, all that not tech savvy, but the machines have started coming in. They were used by the chefs for. They would help us in doing cooking the food faster, whether they're choppers or mixers, grinders, refrigerators, of course, cold deep freezers are already there. But there are certain things which started later on. Now it's there, so you have to be tech savvy. You have to ensure that, of course, whatever are the trends which are there in the market, in the industry, should we all grasp it, we learn it, pick it up, and so that you're able to see what is going on. Like somebody is talking about molecular gastronomy or plated food or nouvelle cuisine or those things are which are would help the trends which are there in the market. So you understand. Association, I cannot stress more on this, because association, a part of the chef should, or a cook should always be a part of any association, because you learn a lot. And I have a number of anecdotes or examples where we have gained through this being a part of the association. I'll tell you, association, when we became part of the ICF in late 80s or middle of 80s, there were chances, there were occasions when we really have had problems. I'll give you a few anecdotes. Once the menu for the state banquets was and running time is short, or you can still share those. We used to, the menu for the state banquets for the Prime Minister used to be we had to give two menus for trial purposes. We used to make menu, and then accordingly that menu, whenever head of state was coming from abroad, and then menu was tried and tested, and then accordingly a menu was approved, and the visit could be a month or 2 months later on. So all the trials were done. So 1 or 2 or 3 occasions, nowadays everything is available. Pimentos were not available in Delhi during that period. We used to get pimentos right from Ooty and from south. They used to be flown from there whenever we had functions and the requirement was given in advance. So we there was a menu in which we had the pimentos prescribed, and then I had to request one of my colleagues in the association, and he was able to give me help me in out with the higher total. Another occasion was chestnuts, which were the food. The menu was tried during this period only, Christmas, before Christmas. The chestnuts were available. We did it with chicken with some chestnuts, brown gravy, and all that. But the occasion was late January during the Republic Day, when the head of state came. The banquet had this, and unfortunately in Delhi, there was no chestnut available anywhere. So firstly, I contacted the chefs, and we were able to get Centaur had chestnut, chopped chestnuts, which we used during that function. So not one occasion, there were so many occasions or incidents where one hotel would help each other when we're doing the chef and child sit down, where all the chefs came together to make a gourmet dinner, gourmet meal, which was being charged to the guest, and whatever money was collected was donated to the CRY. So that time when we all thought, since the food was being plated, and we at that time those flat plates were not available. So newly octagonal plates were available with the Taj Palace, and Chef Saraswat agreed to give me that, and a full set of dinner plates or dinner crockery was served in the Ashok Hotel, borrowed or taken from loan by Taj, which is a very rare thing. So this could only happen because the gentlemen agreed to whatever we took a decision. So the associations really helped, and there are so many occasions or things where we did that. Updated industry knowledge, of course, you have to be, and every chef should become a part of, the students should become a part of the young chefs association. There is a lot of learning workshop going on, competitions going on, and you pick up a lot of ideas from each other. When a chef, executive chef, or maybe we always thought we are king of our own kitchen or area, but when we went together and we learned and we saw them working, there were so many things we picked up from others, and we all gained. So the whole industry gains out of it. And the updated industry knowledge, of course, that is, you need to know whatever is competitions are going on, the seminars, workshop, or exhibitions are going on. So know what is available. Of course, intelligence, that is nowadays artificial intelligence is the buzzword, and this is, we should be all going in for this buzzword. Artificial intelligence is there for a lot of things now, for menu planning, for your inventory and other things. So they come out with a lot of ideas, even for serving and for preparation. But it cannot. Computational gastronomy is another aspect where you combine all the spices and other ingredients, and you make number of combinations of items which have been by your artificial intelligence. But the chef the role has to be there. The emotion works. That is one thing which has not been able to copied by the AI or computers. So that's one aspect. Of course, one must read and go through the whatever is the magazines, the news, the concerning your culinary aspect. There are a number of magazines, number of newsletters which come. Even the IFCA has come out with a newsletter. You must go through this. That will be available and is given free of cost. So that could also be. And any other question you have? No, I'm sorry. We have already through the time 7:31. If the organizers allow, I am ready to answer any other query you have.
Sure, sir. We can have like 1 or 2 questions if you want.
Please go ahead. If you have.
Sir,
Yeah.
Sir, good evening.
Good
May I?
evening. Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, good evening, sir. This is Kamlesh Kumar Roy from AICTE Dehradun.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your insightful talk on the topic. I've got two questions, sir.
Right.
The first one is, as you have got more than 3 decades of experience, as we came to know, sir, how would you differentiate between the organizational culture back then and now? This is my first question. The organizational culture in the hotels. This is my first question. The second one is, sir, being a faculty, so once we meet the industry people from campus point of view during campus placements, the problem that we are facing, I think most of the college will agree that retention is one of the most prominent factor from the hotel point of view. That the students, those who are joining the hotels, they are not staying for a much longer time. So, how do you see this, and what are the factors that is hampering this thing, this retention problem, and how do you suggest ways, as you are a veteran in this thing, how do you guide us, or what are the steps that as an institute we can take to prepare the students to stay back in the industry? Because most of them shift to retails and other further studies. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Roy, coming to your first question about the trend which are now, there, people are now well educated, well informed. They are, are during our time they were not there. It was not there. Then the staff earlier was, learning from them, like in the industrial catering, the training. You really literally had to take out from, because the cooks during that period would not let out their secrets, the recipes. They thought if you are sharing, you are losing your job. So that is one aspect which is now open. People are ready to share. There are available menus, recipes, everything is available online or otherwise in your manual. So these things, rules and regulations are there. As far as the question, of course, students are much brighter. They have knowledge because the generation is doing very well. And I am really salute those the young generation. As far as your placement and other things are concerned, this is really thing which we all are very concerned about it. We are all serious about it. We have, it's been discussed in our association and federation also. And because especially the difference between the expectation of a student coming out from the college in the industry is not to the liking, or the level of remuneration is not there, or satisfaction, job satisfaction is not there in the hotels. Most after going in for the major hotel chains, it is not there. So the government, the association, and different chapters are working on it. We will soon be having a lot of interaction between the industry as well as the academia and the government, because the hotels, the industry has to come forward and start paying a little better, because the entry level salaries are really very pathetic, which and in smaller organizations. And at the same time, the students, when they come out and they need to work, and their expectations are not met through these things. So I feel we need to do a lot in this, and government is also thinking. If they have been, let's come together, and through the federation, through your academia, your academia is also a part of our federation, and they are also making this as a. We will be having very soon, the conferences where this aspect, the topic should be discussed and come out and present to the government. That is required.
So, respected Chef Sudhir, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to you for sharing your valuable expertise and insights on creations of future chefs. Your session was truly enlightening, and your passion for nurturing the next generation of culinary leaders was amazing. Your contribution to the culinary world are testament to the dedication and commitments to the excellence. Your willingness to give back to the community and inspire young minds was truly commendable. And once again, I would like to thank you for enlightening us and involving in this session. And we will look forward for the future collaborations too. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Good night.
Good night, sir. So, with great pleasure, we will move ahead with our second session, and we are fortunate enough to have one of the most talented and respected chefs, Chef Ashish Bhasin, with us. With over 28 years of experience in the world of cooking and hospitality, Chef Bhasin is recognized as one of the top 5 chefs in the country. He is also a proud winner of prestigious Silver Hat Award, which is given to the best of the best in the culinary industry. Currently, Chef Ashish Bhasin is the founder, chef, and director of CB Hospitality, a venture that reflects his passion for food and hospitality. Before starting his own company, Chef Bhasin worked with some of the most renowned hotel brands like the Leela, the Oberoi's, and the Taj, both in India and abroad. His vast experience and knowledge of food makes him a true master in his field. Chef Bhasin is known as a concept and opening specialist. This means he has a special talent of creating unique dining experiences and setting up a new restaurants and kitchens from scratch. His creativity, hard work, and attention to details have made him a role model for many of the hospitality industry. Today, he will be sharing his knowledge with us on the fascinating topic of Mughal cuisine, known for its rich flavors, royal presentation, and use of exotic spices. Mughal cuisine is an important part of India's culinary heritage. Chef Bhasin will take us on a journey through the incredible cuisine, sharing its history, techniques, and specialities. We are truly honored to have Chef Bhasin with us this evening. Welcome, Chef Bhasin.
Am I audible?
Yes, chef.
Okay. Thank you for the nice and very honoring my journey. I think you have said more than what I actually deserve, but thanks a lot, Priyanka, for all that.
Pleasure is all mine.
So are we good to go, or we are waiting for someone?
No, sir. We can start with the session.
Okay. So I don't need to introduce myself. Priyanka has already shared a lot. Just few things, like people know me more as Chef Bhasin. So if you search about me, please search Chef Bhasin. You'll get more information than Chef Ashish Bhasin. So that's in a nutshell. Now we'll quickly start. But before I start my presentation, I'll just add that today what we know Mughal cuisine, or what we eat in restaurants, is actually not the Mughal cuisine. Mughal cuisine has evolved over a period of time. And what we have as Mughal cuisine is more of a Nawab cuisine. So when Bahadur Shah Zafar was sent on exile and there was no Mughal king, so the Mughal cooks came out and went to Nawabs. And that was the cuisine which came. So they had the style of Mughal, but they customized it more locally. And that's the cuisine what we have. So that's not Mughal. That's a mix of that, of the Lucknowi, they are Nawabi cuisine with a hint of frontier. So I'll quickly now start. Let me share my screen. Are you able to see my screen now? Hello?
Yes, chef. We can see the slides.
Okay. So basically, the first slide is about how the Mughal spread all over the country. So the Mughal Empire was a dominant power in the Indian subcontinent, They started from the Central Asia, an area called Samarkand, and the first Mughal who came, he came to Kashmir, and he was Temur, but he moved back, and few of his soldiers stayed back, and that's how our Waza came in. But that's not considered as a Mughal because the Mughal Empire never came in. So actually, Temur was the first Mughal, but we consider Babur as the first Mughal because he was the one who came to India, conquered, and then settled here. And then the generation followed. I'm sorry. So the Mughal Empire, a dominant power, like I mentioned, in Indian subcontinent, symbolized a blend of diverse culture because they came from Samarkand, Persia, Iraq, Afghanistan. So the entire belt, so the entire culture came with that. And because they had a lot of wealth, they have come from, so there was a lot of grandeur, lasting legacies, which we are following till date. Established in 16th century, it ushered the golden age of art, architect, governance, deeply shaping the region's history. So which we'll go through, like one of the other rulers came, they added something. So we'll discuss this part. But like I mentioned, it was the beginning with the Babur conquest. The empire reached the peak. Sorry. The empire reached the peak under the notable rulers like Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan. So though Babur conquest and started the Mughal, but actually these were the rulers who took it to the next level. Renowned for the synthesis of Persian, Central Asian, and Indian influences. So it was the amalgamation of lot of flavors. So Mughal left an enduring impact on the entire subcontinent. It's not about India. That's how if you go to Afghanistan, Iraq, Persia, which is Iran, everywhere you will find similar kind of dishes. Maybe the flavors are different. Like in India, you will have more of spices, but the entire belt would have kebabs. If anyone has any question, he can park his question and I'll try to answer them back. But for the continuity reasons, I'll leave like 15-20 minutes in the end for answering all your questions. Now, on the left side, you will see the Mughal dynasty tree. So it was Babur, Humayun, Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan, Aurangzeb, Bahadur Shah Zafar, and then it came forward. So that's how it actually went. Although Babur was the founder of Mughal dynasty in India, but actually it was his grandson Akbar who is generally credited for building up the Mughal state because he came up with a lot of policies. He was a power. He was one of the youngest kings. At the age of 14, he got like into the power, and then he divided the country into 12 different states or 12 nawabs. He married into different princely states. So a lot of amalgamation of cultures, flavors, cuisine happened. So that's how it grew up. Mughal cuisine is one of the most famous and aromatic cuisines in the world. At that time, the spices were pretty expensive. All spices were not from India. So to showcase their wealth, power, they were using a lot of these aromatic flavors. They had queens which came from Persia. So the Persian cuisine was very, very aromatic. So like we say, Itar and all these came from Persia. Evolved in the medieval Indo-Persian culture during the Mughal Empire. It portrays a mixed style of strongly influenced by the history and rule of Turco-Mongol. So like I mentioned, they came from Samarkand, which was center Mongol, and they were Turks. So the cuisine is very much Turco-Mongol, and that's why you'll find kebabs in Turkey also, kebabs in Middle East also, because Turks went towards that. So few came towards India, and all of them were called Timurids. The Mughal culinary influence persists beyond the empire's borders, shaping modern Indian gastronomy. So a lot of dishes which we have today had somehow link from the old era and inspiring global culinary practices. Dishes like biryani, kebabs, korma, which remain uncherished, while the technique and flavors pioneered the Mughal chefs continue to inspire innovation. So what happened was, during that time, the chef, whom they call Khansama, had an equal power like a prime minister. So there was a prime minister, there was a chef, and there was a hakim, Ved. So Ved used to say that, okay, use these kind of flavors. The chef will use those kind of flavors and create something different. And it was like a competition. He has to win that competition. So a lot of innovation and creativity was shown at that time. Uh, so that's how there was lot of innovation. Mughal cuisine is generally quite spicy, rich, and heavily marked with the unique and distinctive aromas and the taste of ground and whole spices. So when I mention the word spicy, it's not about chili, it's about aromatic spices here. Chilies vary from region to region, but chilies, though came in 1498 to India, it was used in the later half around 1700th century. We can have a discussion on that later on. The food practices and the culture of that time shaped the Indian food scene over the years and led to development of contemporary dishes. Here it looked like at the food habit, and a lot of development and practices during the Mughal era came up. So, for example, like Akbar married a queen of Jodhpur, Rajasthan. So, so a new dish came up, or flavors matched up. So that's how what I was saying was contemporary and development and change the Indian food scene overall. A hallmark of Mughal cuisine was its extravagant use of spices, which enhanced the flavors and symbolized the empire's wealth. Like I was saying, that spices were expensive, so they had to showcase that, okay, see, this is a power, this is a wealth. Just to give you an example, uh, an average of at that time of Bahadur Shah Zafar meal was about a lakh Indian rupees. So that's how it went on. There were a lot of use of aromatic spices like cardamom, cinnamon, and these were not Indian. Cloves, nutmeg elevated the dish, while saffron lent its golden hue and distinctive taste to the rice and desserts. Uh, Meat like lamb, chicken, and beef were the center to the Mughal fare, and often marinated in yogurt and spices before being cooked in tandoor or grilled on skewers for a tender, smoky fish. Vegetarian dishes were also very important, though we mentioned that meat, lamb, chicken, and beef were the central to the Mughal fare. But Mughal kings were also vegetarian. Like Akbar, twice in a week used to be only vegetarian and will consume only vegetarian dishes. That's why the vegetarian dishes, but they were a lot of seasonal influence, because where they used to say, okay, this is a weather, you need to feed these kind of flavors or these kind of vegetables because this has this kind of effect on a body. So chef will create those dishes and present. So that's why the seasonality was there. A lot of vegetable, lentil, legumes um, were used. But in that also there was a lot of spices. So khichdi, what we have, there used to be a khichdi in Akbar's court called Laziza. So it was there. And the reason why the yogurt thing, so what happened was when Mughal were coming like, to India, they were following a hide and fight. So they were hiding in the jungle because they were small army, they were not huge. In fact, Babur defeated Ibrahim Lodi's army, which was, I think, about 10 times than his army. So when they were hiding and fighting, so, but they have to eat meal. So what they used to do, they used to take chunk of meat, marinate, and keep traveling, keep fighting. And whenever they used to get time, they used to hide in jungle, dig some pits, ignite some fire, basic wood they'll collect, and they will skewer the meat on those arrows which they use for fighting, the bows and arrows, and they will skewer and roast. So that's why the kebabs came into that. Ranging from 1526 to 1530, the first Mughal emperor Babur preferred to eat the food which he used to have, like Uzbek food, because they came from Uzbekistan, Samarkand, Mongol, and enjoy eating food such as fish. So most of the ingredients he bought from outside. They planted those vegetables, fruits in India, like Kandhari anar. It's not anar, it's Kandhar if you need that. or Alu Bukhara. Alu from Bukhara. So that's how the name came. So all these things were planted in India. He was not a fan of mango, but he loved Indian fishes. So that's why a lot of Babur dishes at that time had fish in his menu. During Babur reign, it was earthenware pots, spicy, rich meat, grilled food. It was very rustic. Babur food was very, very rustic. And it was commonly being buried in hot pits due to war campaign, like what I was telling you about hide and fight. So अगर आग दिखती है, so those men with the arrows were as good as snipers. So if there is a flame, the arrow will come and kill you. So that's why they used to dig the pits, cook underground. So that's how the mandi, zameen dosh, or khad cooking, which we know, that was the originality of that. Food spaces at that time, later on it became okay, male, female, and everything. But initially at Babur time, it was not gender segregated. It gradually started from Humayun's era, where the Persian influence also came in. So what had happened was, when Babur won against Ibrahim Lodi, Ibrahim Lodi's mother tried to poison Babur using the cook's help. And because of that, Babur lost trust on Indian cooks and Indian ingredients. So he bought a lot of stuff from outside. And he was not very happy with the Indian fruits also. So the chef came from outside, ingredient came from outside. They planted those ingredients in India. So that's how we started the thing. So like melons, apple, plum, figs, dried fruits, all of them came from Kabul, Central Asia, Bukhara. That's how it went, right? Babur was very fascinated by country's cuisine and the large variety of spices available. And hence the spices came in our way. He was eating chicken, meat, cooked on flame, log of fire. And then he started improvising the food. Till that time, it was a very, very rustic cuisine. And then it was Humayun's time. So what happened was Babur said, and then Humayun lost to Sher Shah Suri. So when Humayun lost to Sher Shah Suri, he was in exile to Persia, and when he came back from Persia with his Iranian wife, with the help of the Shah of Persia, they got regained the power. They also bring a lot of cooks, artists, a lot of culture from Iran, and that came. So Hamida brought a lot of these Persian culinary trends in the Mughal cuisine, and she was the one who introduced the use of dry fruits and saffron in the Mughal dishes. Even today, they are very, very common in Iran if you go. So Humayun enjoyed drinking sharbats. So what happened was, when they came to India, they came from Samarkand, Central Asia, which was very cold. But when they came to India, our weather was very hot. Their court was Agra. And to survive that heat, they were advised to have sharbats, cold drinks. So they were exciting thing that there were 12 boats which were faring from Kashmir, deep, and coming down to through the Jamna to Agra, and they were ice. So they were freezing ice there in metal boxes, saltpeter, saw, coming them, wrapping them in rucksacks, and that's how it was constantly shuttling. So that's how there was a lot of cold drinks which came up. Sharbats, food, drinks were made in Royal Kitchen. And like I mentioned, the ice was brought from mountains to cool the drink. And it was purely through the water. So it was a very, very interesting way. Then came Akbar. So Emperor Akbar, with his martial alliances, took the Mughal cuisine to the next level by giving chances to the chef from all over the India. So what happened was, when you marry a queen, the queen will come with you with a lot of her helps, maids, cooks in the court. So there was a cross collaboration started, and that's how the bringing them to the empire, the entire empire merged together. Akbar, along with his martial alliances, took the cuisine to the next level, like I mentioned, giving chance to the chef from all over India and bringing them to Empire, who then merged their own gastronomic expertise with the already existing Persian flavors. So this was the time where the Indo-Persian cuisine came up. Though I won't say that it still completely became the Mughal or what we know, that came during the Aurangzeb time. But this was the time where the collaboration started. So from Babur, which was rustic, roast, meats, to Humayun, which was Persian, refined, to Akbar, which was Indo-Persian. So I hope I'm not going too fast. If I'm too fast, coordinator, if there is any message or anything, please let me know. I can slow down.
Chef. Sure, chef.
Okay. Okay. So during Akbar's era, Mughal cuisine became refined. His art of exquisite and sometimes baffling details. The chief cook, like I mentioned, was of the same level as Prime Minister. The best produced from the corner of the empire, and his empire was big, were brought down to the imperial kitchen. Most interestingly, chickens of the palace were fed by hand with pallets of saffron, rose water, and gold, and they were massaged daily with musk oil and sandalwood to improve the flavor of their meat. Today, we hear about Wagyu or goose liver, that usko we feed them this, we don't let them move, we massage them. Just imagine at Akbar's time that was happening. And like I mentioned, there was a myth that is a myth that Mughals were only meat eaters. Contrary to that, there's a documented proof. So there is a lot of these Mughal biographies. So there is an Akbar Nama where it's been mentioned that he was vegetarian and he was following a concept of absentees, where no meat were used in the dishes and he will eat only vegetarian. Even Jahangir used to be vegetarian on Thursdays and Sundays. So it's not only Akbar, that continued and that thing followed. And they had a great selection of vegetarian dishes in the menu. We discuss about tobacco today, but tobacco was presented to Akbar, which came from Portuguese. So that was the time where the Portugal came to India and they were trying to spread their wings in India. They were trying to do treaties with different kings, and they knew that Mughal were powerful. So they tried to develop relationship then. So that was the time where Akbar was presented a silver shisha. He liked a lot and acclimatized. So shisha became a part of Mughal culture, but Akbar was very happy with that. But Jahangir was not. Jahangir, who was the Akbar's successor, who came and followed, he was like, no, this is not happening. And he knew that it has ill effects on the body. So the tobacco was literally banned. And it was more intense. Yeah, it was, though it was banned and his intentions were good, but it was more like on papers, but in reality, he couldn't ban it. So people still continue the use of tobacco. Jahangir, who ruled the continent from 1605 to 1627, along with his 20th wife Noor Jahan, who was famously known as the culinary art and food taste, strongly influenced the Mughal cuisine. Not just flavor wise, but aesthetically wise, presentation wise, color wise, aroma wise. So there are a lot of things they developed. Noor Jahan, one of the royal figures, were the first queen who curated unusual gastronom fare. So before that, queens were not into culinary, but she came in and she had the Persian roots. So she had that Persian flavors also. So just imagine, she created a single bowl which has 7 colors of yogurt. So they set a yogurt, they put partition and have different yogurts all around. And when it was set, they just used to move out those those partitions. So you'll see one container with 7 different properly set yogurt. So that's how they were. The sharbats came to the next level. There were a lot of beverages which were included at that time. Jahangir time was peaceful. So during Jahangir time, there was not many wars. They remained in power. There were no outright rebels happening. And like I mentioned, Nurjan was artistic. So the food went to the next level. Nurjan also received many gifts from European nations due to the hospitality and culinary trends. Uh, Europeans were trying to make their way into India. They were trying to do treaties. So there were a lot of dinners were organized in respect of those Britishers, Europeans. And at that time, they had no idea that they have ill intentions. But because they were so happy, they came gifted, and Nurjan took those ideas also in cuisine. So like the picture what you use, it's called Shirin Pulao. So there was carrot and orange used into it. So orange zest were used. So the rice was very, very aromatic, very citrusy. Shah Jahan reign was considered as the golden age of Mughal era. Um, Shah Jahan kept up to the show and took the culinary trends to the next level and carried on expanding the Mughal cuisine, which formulated by his ancestors. So abhi tak jitna hua tha, they had a strong base, but at Shah Jahan time, it went huge. And so he has couple of, not couple, he had multiple kids, but couple of kids who are very famous was Dara Shikoh. So Dara Shikoh was a foodie, and he did a lot of food stuff. He did created like mango species. So he was into horticulture also. He was artist also. He was into music also. And at the same time, his son Aurangzeb was a huge fighter. He was literally always on the fight. So because of his support system at that time, it went beyond imagination. So he was well known for his knowledge and interest in culinary arts. He's the one at that time we introduces turmeric, cumin, coriander in the recipes. Because of the healing properties, so the Ayurveda thing came up, aromas came up, a lot of. So this was a time where the dried red chilies also made their way into. I'm sorry. So Aurangzeb, now then comes Aurangzeb. So though Dara Shikoh was his elder son, and Aurangzeb was given Deccan, which is south, to rule, and Dara Shikoh was supposed to be the king, but Aurangzeb, being power hungry, he killed his own brother and put his father in the jail. And Shah Jahan has moved the capital to Delhi. So the old Delhi, even today, is called Shahjahanabad. So a lot of flavors, if you go in old Delhi, you will find related to Shah Jahan. But at Aurangzeb time, they tried to move back the capital to Agra. So Aurangzeb was one of the most thirsty and religious Mughal rulers of the world. Aurangzeb was health conscious and preferred lighter vegetarian dishes over meat dishes that were relished with the rest of his royal counterparts. The extravagance of Mughal cuisine during Shah Jahan time was toned down by his son because he needed funds to fight. He needed funds to feed army. His army was huge and they were literally moved. So a lot of cuisine, what we call Lashkari Khana, was developed at that time. The most religious, he was one of the most religious Mughal emperor and fancied vegetarian dishes, as I mentioned. Now, this is an interesting fact. We are trying to do 2 plus 2. We are not 100% sure on that. But we think that biryani came up during Aurangzeb era due to Lashkari Khana. But we are sure that it was not there till Shah Jahan's time. So at one time, Shah Jahan actually visited Aurangzeb when he was ruling the south, Deccan, and he was served Kabuli. So he mentioned, and there is a letter which is mentioned in Shahjahanama. And if any one of you had an access to the book, if you read, you will read that, where he mentioned that the kabuli which was cooked and served to me by Islam Khan does not surpass the one which was done by Saliman. So Saliman was the cook of uh, Aurangzeb, and Islam Khan was the cook of Shah Jahan. So he's saying that and he asked that if you can let Saliman come and cook in my kitchen, he was denied. Aurangzeb denied. So he said that if there is anyone in his relation who can cook similar kind of Kabuli, and the word Kabuli, it's mentioned Kabuli, I would be more than happy. So that's why we say that biryani was not there, it was Kabulia till that time. Dishes from Aurangzeb era started using chilies. So chilies came to India in 1498. And the interesting fact is, we all know Columbus discovered America. Now, how Columbus discovered America, it was, he knew that, okay, so at that time, Middle East, Egypt was doing trade from India. So he was like, if there's a better way we can reach faster India, we can take the trade. And it was mainly black pepper. So he went, he had no idea how black pepper looks like or tastes like, but he knew that it's hot. So he reached Caribbean, America, and he found something which was spicy. He took those chilies back, and with Vasco da Gama, those chilies came to India in 1498. But people had no idea because chilies were too hot to handle. They continued using black pepper. In 1700th century, there was a combined war which happened with Dutch East India Company and Maratha Varma. Maratha Varma won that war, but then Dutch East India Company offered him a lot of money and bought the entire black pepper. So there was a time that there was no black pepper in the country and there was shortage of black pepper. So because there was shortage of black pepper, the prices went up, and Aurangzeb had to feed his army. So he was forced to use chili into food. And that's how we assume that chilies came and people started using chilies in India. So that's how it went up. And then chilies make a part of a very important part of the cuisine. And with chilies, nuts were used to make it exotic. Imperial table need to look nice, rich. Almonds were used not only to give body to the dishes, but also to enrich the flavor and give strength to mind and body. So if you see, आज हम बात करते हैं that आपको बादाम खाना चाहिए, बादाम खाने से memory तेज होती है, बादाम. So the science were quite advanced at that time, and they had idea what to do and what not to do. So this is what I mentioned. Chilies came to India with Vasco da Gama in 1498, but initially it was considered too hot for use in regular food. Chili had made a noticeable presence in India around 18th century. Initially, its use may had been restricted to chutneys, pickle, in other words, spicy meal accompaniments, but eventually it became must. So when chilies came, we were only using as a chutney, halka sa dip laga ke khane wala kinds. Persian cookbook suggests that the initial use of chutneys and pickle recipes, while black pepper continued to be the preferred hot spices of the dishes. So like we discussed that though chilies came, but chilies were in chutneys, but mainly it was for pickles. And chili pickles were served during dinners. And it's again mentioned in Babar-Nama, different books. So you will go through it. And not only chilies came in, there's all the new world vegetables we know. So your potato, your tomato, they never exist in India. Tomato was called Vilaiti Bengan. Today, just imagine an Indian cuisine without tomato. Can't think of. But at that time, there were dishes which had no tomato because India mein tomato exists ही नहीं करता था. So it was called Vilaiti Bengan. Potatoes. Potatoes was never in India. Potatoes, when it came, it was called a Seb Zami, apple of earth. So that's how the cuisine changed. And the best part about India and Indian cuisine is that we accept anything and everything coming our way without surrendering our own. So if you see, when Mughal came, they it became part of India, but they became part of India when they start using Indian cuisine, Indian ingredients, and acclimatized to the Indian flavor. I give an example of vada pav. I say, na vada hamara, na aloo hamara, na pav hamara, na chili hamari, par vada pav hamara. So this is what has happened to the Indian cuisine over the period of time. This is how the flavors kept moving on and on and on and on. Uh, an interesting thing, so there used to be two kinds of breads. Breads baked in oven and the breads baked on grill. So when I say oven, it's also meant tandoor. So there was the breads which were made in the oven were called tanuri, and the breads which were made on a tawa, a griddle, was tanak takbi. So that's how there were a lot of flavors, which was, I would say flavors. I'm sorry, I'm just going wrong. But yeah, a lot of cooking style were happening, and they were way advanced for that time. So Mughal cuisine was very, very famous at that time. And then came your Bahadur Shah Zafar. So Bahadur Shah Zafar era was faced the toughest time. He was the one where the 1857 revolt happened. Though he was a foodie, his food at that time used to be close to 1 lakh rupee average spend. But when the Britishers took over, he was sent on exile to Rangoon. His kids were beheaded. So that was the time when the cooks had to find something. So they came to Nawabs, and the Nawab cuisine came forward. And a lot of new dishes popped up, which were little economical, not too expensive, but yeah, not too rich. That's how it came. And the cuisine which we know, also like we say about vegetarian or charts. So uh, you have Kayas. So Kayas used to be the accountants, but a lot of them were vegetarian, a lot of them were not vegetarian. So they had to have similar kind of food, but food was again customized for that. Uh, the Jamuna water had a high TDS level. So the vet suggested that we need to have more of vegetable and we need to have tangy flavors. So that's how the subs gosht, your shalgam gosht, all these things came up. So lot of these things came up during this time. Indian cuisine, today when we say Indian cuisine is modern Indian cuisine or whatever we say, I say Indian cuisine is ever evolving. What is Indian cuisine? So what we saw today or what we discussed today, that was also not Indian, but then they become Indian. Then today we say butter chicken. Butter chicken came in 1947 during partition time. So there is nothing called authentic. It's evolving. Indian cuisine is growing. But when we say growing, we need to understand that growing, evolution, development, and fusion, they are multiple different things. They are not the same. And we need to understand a fact that customization, mixing of flavors, developing new is nice, but it needs to make sense. There are certain laws which cannot be bypassed. So that's where I would say, and now I'll take you for Q&A if anyone has questions. Now I'll open the platform. So we have about good 40 minutes. We can have a discussion. If I don't have your answer, I will try and get back to you with the answer. That's a promise. You can reach me on my Instagram, on Facebook. You can send me a message. It's a very simple, Chef Bhasin. I love to find more. I've spent about 7 months researching, and what data I've given you today is a part of that research only. So this was a very, very summarized version. But if you want more data, you can go on my Instagram or a Facebook and type Mughal cuisine, birth to maturation. You'll find more, or you can message me. So open for questions. Harman.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, I would like to ask, like the cuisine, the Mughalai cuisine, especially, like it is developed after the Akbar and Jodha's marriage, where most of the vegetarian dishes are being introduced by Jodha. Is it right?
So like I mentioned, Harman, the Mughal cuisine constantly developed. It went to its peak during Shah Jahan's time. But there were a lot of vegetarian dishes were infused in the era because Akbar used to be vegetarian twice a week. But actual Mughal cuisine came to its peak in the most glorious time was Shah Jahan's time, where a proper amalgamation of
Thank you, Chef.
Persian richness, flavors, colors, presentation, concept of feast came because the queen used to go inside the kitchen. Am I
Thank
able
you,
to
Chef.
answer your question, Harman?
Yes, Chef.
Okay. Anyone has any questions? Or should I ask question?
Good evening. Chef, definitely we would please ask questions. It was an amazing session. So we would, if you can kindly ask questions because we have a lot of questions. So firstly, if you ask questions to the participants.
No. If you have questions, see, I will respect time. So if people have questions, let them answer. I'll write to
Chef,
answer.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Chef, do you think that the first so-called fusion cuisine, which was got birth in India, is from the hands of Mughal cuisine?
I wouldn't say fusion. I would say evolution. Because if you say fusion, even a butter chicken is a fusion. So it's an evolution where the ingredients were merged together. So fusion and evolution are two different things for me.
Right, chef.
So that's where I would say that it's not fusion, it's evolution.
Right. And one more thing, chef, as you have mentioned that, the Mughal cuisine, whatever today we see is a concoction of Nawabi cuisine, the Mughal cuisine was split into different things and we got a concoction of this cuisine. So
Yeah.
why it is not possible to revive the Mughal cuisine, at least in five-star hotels, that what we have also taken an attempt, that the actual Mughal cuisine, revival of the actual Mughal cuisine, is it because of the time factor or is it because of the cost factor, a lot of involved? Why we are unable to develop a complete, structure of or a cuisine of actual Mughal cuisine?
Okay. So I have done a pop-up on Mughal cuisine. And in that pop-up, I have shown the entire menu. But what happened is, one, the ingredients are challenging. Now, for example, people don't know how to use peepli, long pepper. the chilies were not there at that certain time. So that's one. Second, also the thing is the flavor profile and acceptability has changed. Third is the eating habits are linked to your physical work. The amount of nuts they used to have were huge. The butter, cream, nut, and they were warriors. So the entire army will either walk or they will be on horse. But traveling entire day on horse is also tiring because horse does not move. You need to literally jump on horse. So there's a lot of exercise what you are doing. Horse riding is an exercise. So they were burning those calories. Today, uh, it's not happening. We are sitting, we are working on laptops, computers. So our habits have changed a lot. So that is why I think it's a challenge.
Right, chef.
So we need to look into that part. But we need to take inspiration from those dishes and curate. Like I mentioned about a Shirin Pulao. So a Shirin Pulao is an inspiration, a carrot and rice with orange. So if you think about carrot gives the sweetness, orange gives a zesty, citrusy flavor to my rice. Now, if I make that rice with a little chili, 100% my guest would love it. Now I can make it in non-veg, I can make it in veg. Like for example, a kabuli. Kabuli, I mentioned that it was non-veg, but that kabuli is QU. But there is KA kabuli, which is in Rajasthan and which is served to Bhagwan on Shani Dev on Saturday in Jodhpur, and it's available in Jodhpur only. It's only in Jodhpur. Now, there is no written or a documented proof, but I think it might have a link with Jodha only. And that's how the Kabuli becomes Kabuli and went to Jodhpur. And Jodhabai was only from Jodhpur. So maybe because of that. So, but again, it was a take and infusion and which went, and that Kabuli is well accepted in today's world. So we need to take ideas, develop, and present today. Like there was a dish called Aloo Bukhara Kofta. Now, Aloo Bukhara Kofta was a zero spice with a tinge of black pepper with a plum gravy, plum and tomato, plum gravy, not tomato, plum gravy made with lamb at that time. Now, those flavors, I can take that, okay, I can have a fruit. Now, a mint and an apple gravy would go very nice with lamb. So there are a lot of people who ask me, why do we waste time in reading history when we are evolving? I was a science student. I used to hate history like anything. I was like, history is a mystery and I am not getting into it. And I used to run away from my history lecture. But today I can blindly just say, okay, this. Like when I was going presentation, I could say beforehand what's coming in the next slide without knowing that, okay, I've already poured, because all these things I have gone through, read, imagined, and oh wow, this is nice. So when you read it as a story, it interests you and give you a lot of ideas to do things. Khana ghumta hai. Food always comes back. Like a shepherd pie, we have moved out of shepherd pie. But if you can cook a good shepherd pie, you can develop multiple dishes out of shepherd pie. So the same thing is there. If we can go through the history, we pick up those things, get an idea of those flavors, develop and maybe change those dishes, it would be.
I think there is a bit problem happened with Chef Bhasin. So I think he will be getting connected very shortly. He got disconnected.
Am I audible? Sorry, some network issue happened
Yes.
and I got dropped out.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
you
sir.
are audible, sir.
You're audible.
Okay, I'm
Uh,
sorry. I'm sorry for that. So this is what I was
okay.
saying, that we need to develop dishes, but getting idea from past. So Anirban, am I able to answer your
Yeah,
point?
yeah, sure, 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 sure.
Okay.
I guess if
Rajesh, you
there
have raised a quick hand.
Good evening, sir.
Good
My
evening.
name is Rajesh. My question is that do you think that Mughal cuisines are the bland mix of Persians and other Asian cuisines as well? And to what
Uh,
extent?
okay. So when you say Asian, uh, I won't say it's not the Southeast Asian, not like a Chinese, Japanese, Korean, not those kind of flavors, but it's a blend of Central Asia, Uzbekistan cuisine, Persian cuisine, and Indian cuisine. So it is an amalgamation of those cuisine. And initially it was purely that it kept diluted and mixing and mixing and mixing, and then it tapered toward more of Indian flavors. But Rajesh, I have a question to you. What is Indian cuisine?
In Indian cuisines, basically the bland mixes of the different regions, basically.
So today, what we call Indian cuisine, if you go back in history, those dishes never existed. Idli is not Indian. Butter chicken never existed. So that's how it was not there. But it is how the cuisine evolves is availability and the local influences. So like Kashmir, the same Mughals, when they were in Kashmir, they were eating a lot of nuts, lot of rich food, because uh, their body need heat to fight against those cold temperature. When they came down, when Aurangzeb came towards Deccan, his food became spicy because the weather is hot. They need to eat, they need to sweat. When they sweat, their body temperature cools down. When you go to Rajasthan, you have a dish called lal mas. You have a lal mas because it's super spicy, so that make you sweat. When you go towards the coastal region, because of the humidity, you don't feel like eating. So tanginess chart kind of, so that increase the palatability of the food. So that's how there. So Indian cuisine is ever evolving. It's evolved, but based on the local ingredients available.
Sir, my second question is that you have referenced already that some of the Mughal emperors also use the vegetarian dishes also. So, what is the basically the relation between the vegetarian and the Mughal cuisines, basically?
See, Mughal cuisine may be vegetarian tha. That is only the relation. So when they were eating certain kind of food, they have that kind of a palate. Now, for example, if you like to eat spicy lal mas and your palate is spicy, and I give you anything vegetarian, you will still expect vegetarian spicy. So when the vegetarian cuisines were developed in Mughal era, they were also rich in nut, cream, ghee, flavors, spices, aromatic spices. That is how I would say.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chef.
Good evening, Upneet. Okay.
Sir, I have a question that I have heard that braising method was introduced in the Mughal era at the time of Shah Jahan, which took the form of dish korma. How much truth it is there?
Okay. So korma is a word, it's not a dish. So जैसे हम करी बोलते हैं वैसे ही कोरमा होता है. So कोरमा is not a dish. So किसी भी मीट को जब आप भूनते हो, when you and then you add water and braise it properly, that's curry, that's korma. The korma words was Indian, and curry word was given to us by Britishers. So they took our dish and gave us that name. So korma and curry is the same thing, but yes, you are right. It came. There are references that curries used to be there in Harappa and all that, because there have been certain places where prehistorical, like Harappa site and all that, they have found equipments, equipments, those mirti ke bartan. And when the test has happened, they are able to figure out that there were certain liquids in that. So there were gravies in that. So if gravy was there, that means there was curries there. But the korma word came during Mughal era, that's for sure. But we are not 100% sure about this fact, Upneet, that the the braising came during Mughal era. Because there are certain references in Harappa. There is a site called Farzar or something at the Fazara, something Faraza, where this research has recently happened, and we have a proof that there was liquid used in cooking food.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Vijendra this side.
Yeah, Vijendra.
First of all, a very informative session, sir. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Vijendra.
Sir, I have one question that there are so many cooking methods. The Mughals were using so many cooking methods, like they were using tandoor, the fierce heat. My question is, what is the significance of a slow cooking technique like dum pokht in Mughal cuisine?
Okay. So first of all, Dampuk was not a Mughal cuisine. Dampuk came in Lucknow.
Yes.
Anyone knows why Dampuk cuisine came? Anyone from Lucknow? It's a famous story. Anyone can help me, or you want me to tell you that?
Please, please.
So Lucknow में अकाल पड़ा था, famine. There was no food left there. So the Nawab who was there, he loved his people and he wanted to feed them, but he thought that if I feed them just like that without giving work, they will get in a habit of not working. So he thought of giving them work. So Imam Bada jo hai Lucknow mein, that was constructed during that time. So he developed two teams. First team used to construct Imam Bada in the day, and while they are working, the food was prepared and served to them because it's a part of a duty meal. And evening another team will come, they will break down. Both the teams had no idea what they are doing, but they were doing it. Now, because they have to cook for huge people, they were not able to, so they came up with this method of dum cooking, that they will put cover lid so that the heat is inside and everything cooks together. So one day, Nawab went and tasted. He wanted, like, let me see what kind of food is being served to my people. So when he tasted, he found that, wow, it's beautiful. The flavors are intact. And when there's dum, all the flavors mix with each other. So he was super impressed. And that's how the cuisine came from lower caste to the court. So it's an upward movement. So that's how the dum cooking came. But dum cooking never existed during Mughal time.
Mughal emperor. Right, right. I had
Anyone
been
who
in
knows
Lucknow.
the Nawab of Lucknow who developed this cuisine?
Actually, I know only about, I think the last emperor was Sujaudullah.
I'm asking, you are telling me, and I'm asking this question.
Okay.
Anyone?
Nawab Wajid Ali.
Wajid Ali Shah was given exile. Now I'll come to Wajid Ali also. It's very important and a very informative thing. But anyone who can help me with right now? Okay. His name was Asaful Dawla only. Okay. So Wajid Ali Shah was given an exile and he was sent to Kolkata, Bengal. So he took korma and kalia, those dishes, along with him to Kolkata, the Bengal. And I'm not sure if this is true or false, but this is what we have read and we have heard. He had a huge army to feed. So that was the time to reduce cost. He added potatoes in his dishes. And that's how the Mushidabadi cuisine came up. And in Bengal, we have potatoes in all our food, in our biryanis, in our gravies. Though I love to have that potato tastes amazing. but that's the Wajid Ali Shah. Okay, Aditya has raised his hand.
Good evening, Chef. This is Chef Aditya from Chitkara School of Hospitality.
Hi, Chef.
Hello, sir. So the first thing is the session is really amazing. I love each and every bit of the historical pieces that you have told. That
Thank
is
you.
something we try to inculcate to our students also. However, I have a question regarding the Mughal cuisine that you were saying. Now, as I asked the same question when Chef Anirban was also, talking to us during the first day. Uh, Again, I'm putting. I hear Chef, a food historian. His name is Pushpendra Pant. He's Padma Shri awarded.
Pushpesh Pant.
Sorry,
Pushpesh.
Pushpesh Pant. So he was totally whatever you told us. He was totally opposite of what you have said. Like he
Like,
so seriously told that Mughals were not. They didn't contribute much to the Indian cuisine. Himayu was there in Kabul. He sat there for 20 years. Then Jahangir, Babur, and everyone, they were fighting battles or they were with, you know, marrying people each and everywhere. So they were not able to, contribute much to the Indian cuisine. So the second thing that I want to ask is about the Akbar when we say that Jodha Bhai came and she introduced vegetarian cuisine to Akbar. But the Rajputs of Rajasthan contradict this because they say there was no Jodha Bhai. And I can vouch for it because my grandmother's side was related to the royals of Rajasthan. So during my childhood, I have also heard the same thing that there was no Jodha Bhai. Then how could Akbar marry Jodha Bhai?
okay. So I'll answer both your questions.
Sure, chef.
First is Pushpesh Panji. I am too small a person to challenge his authority. He is very senior. But what I have said and mentioned is as per the written documented proof what I have got through from Akbar Nama, Jahangir Nama, or I have spoken to a lot of. So there is a Salma Hussain. She is a Persian scholar. She is the one who has translated all these Akbar Nama, Jahangir Nama, Aurangzeb Nama from Persian to India. She has written many books. So I was not born at that time, but it's as per the documented proof what is being there. I have shared, and this is what I know. Um, yes, but Humayun at Aurangzeb's time, there is no much of addition in the food. Uh, like I mentioned, Babur. So Babur, all these ingredients were brought down to India by Babur. There was no melon, there was no pomegranate, there was no plum. So all this is documented that it came, and that is there. Uh, Kulfi, it is again documented that it was made during their time, that it was in a cone kind of a thing, and the guy put rabdi and put it in the freezer or in the ice bin and to chill, and he forgot to take out one and it frozen. So it's been mentioned there. It's been mentioned there that ice was coming from Kashmir. It's been mentioned there that there was nuts used. It's been mentioned there that yes, absolutely right. Humayun was in Kabul for 20 years. He took, not Kabul, in Persia. He took shelter when he lost to Shah Suri. But when he came back and he won, he came and his wife helped him. So he came with Persian cooks. So the Persian influence came. So somehow, like I said, I'm no one to challenge Pushpesh Panji, but all those things which has happened, somehow it has happened. And the common link is Mughals. If not Mughals, then who bought these ingredients from Persia to India? This is my thought. So that's part one. Part two about Jodhabai. So again, there are documented things, there are movies, there are so much of thing. True or false, we don't know. We all, like today, if I say something or you read something, that become a fact for you. That's how it's a fact, because the data what I'm sharing is from the documented proof. I don't know, Aditya, if you are aware of this. There is Marwar and Mewar does not speak to each other. Are you aware of this fact?
Yes, sir, I know.
What is the reason?
That I have no idea, but there would be something historical. Maybe
Yes.
they didn't help each
So,
other or something like that.
so Rana Pratap, we have heard his name.
Yes, sir.
Maharaja Rana Pratap. His father was Uday Singh Ji.
Ji.
Uday Singh Ji was the last ruler of Chittor. Then Rana Pratap, Maharana Rana Pratap never stayed in his palace. He was always out. He was with Bhil, and there the the Haldi Ghati war and all these happened. So he kept fighting, and his son Amar Singh finally got Chittor back as a treaty, not by winning. So all these is there, but it's been said that so this was Mewar. Marwar had a treaty and they developed relationship with Akbar, and they supported Mughals, and that's why all Mewadis start कि आपने राजपूतों की नाक कटा दी. And now I'm very sorry, I'm not saying anything against any community or anything. This is purely what I have heard and I'm sharing. I am from Rajasthan. I'm born and brought up in Ajmer. Ajmer is Rajasthan is multiple states: Marwar, Mewar, Shekhawat, Pali, Gumta, Junjnu. So all this is what I've heard, but there is something. How is it possible that there is Kabuli in all Mughal documents and there is Kabuli in Jodhpur and only in Jodhpur? Maybe wrong, maybe right. See, history, now, if you are a movie buff or something, there would be a history which will put Akbar has done good things. Akbar developed what was that, where he was putting respect to all religions. We have read that thing. But at the same time, there are things where Akbar destroyed all the temples. So these are two sides of the coin. We don't know what is right, what is wrong. We have to go through what is documented and we'll do it. But we are chefs. We have nothing to do with who is right or who is wrong. We are looking only from the food perspective, who bought what, and can we take anything for future? Because we cannot change history, or we cannot rewrite history, or we cannot challenge history.
Exactly, Chef. The whatever has been done and it been documented has been done.
But
We can't change
let's
it.
see, let's pick up the best, what is useful to us, and
Definitely.
let's move. Like, for example, there was a dish called Kundan Kalia, where each and every almond was blanched, peeled, wrapped in gold leaf, and served. Maybe if I have to do some very, very high-end Ambani's dinner again, I will do it. But I will do a veg version of it because he can afford that.
Yes.
So that's how. So let's pick up what we can pick.
Definitely. There is also a dish which is, I think, uh, Chandi ka pulao, where egg white is being put inside the intestine. There is something like that, and silver
So,
leaves are also added.
so there are many things. There have been stories where the chickens were fed gold leaves.
Yes.
Now, the story of Do Piazza, if you start saying, so someone says because onion is added twice, there is a story which says that there was a minister in Akbar's court who was called Do Piazza, and earlier he was like a very basic guy, and then he said, I need some work. So he was given a job in his library. He cut down his cost. Akbar was super happy. He promoted it to take care of his uh, chicken, where they were raising chicken. So he came up that all the leftover food has rich ingredients. So he started feeding that, and there Akbar realized that chickens are becoming fatter and richer. And he was, in his honor, this dish was made, Do Piazza, because his name was Mullah Do Piazza. So there are multiple stories. So we don't know. It is somewhere we pick up a fact, we say, okay, whatever it was mulla do pyaz or it was twice onion, but when we add onion twice to my dish, my dish tastes like this. Now I have to curate that. So that's, as a chef, I will take it.
So what I believe is these stories make our cuisine bit more interesting and unique.
Let's pick up the best out of these stories, which help us.
Definitely, sir.
In the end, Aditya, you used the word story. Story is always a story.
Exactly. It
If
is.
Akbar married Jodhabai, there was Jodhabai, there was no Jodhabai, will it make a difference to our life? No. But how Rajasthani cuisine and Mughal cuisine amalgamate and what new dishes came up, that will make a difference to our life as a chef. Let's pick that.
Sure.
But a very valid point. But respect to Pushpesh Panji, I cannot say anything against him. He's a legend. Okay.
Hi, chef.
Who's that? Gurinder.
My name is Gurinder, and I'm from Pcte Group of Institutes. Actually, talking about the history, you have explained us so well about the Mughlai cuisine, and I love to explore the history of the different surrounding of the different around the India, right? And I, as I'm from the Sikh background, so we do have from my parents' side, I've been learning a lot of stories as my lot of ancestral people are from the 10th fathers are from the Pakistan, and some of I've heard stories from my ancestral people that during the Maharaja Ranjit Singh time, even our family was related to that at that time, and Raja Jassa Singh Aluwalia was from our family. I've been learning these stories and hearing these stories. So there was a lot of influence of the Mughlai cuisine at that time, during that time, and the Mughlai cuisine had a and as a Sikh and the Mughlai Mughals and Afghans had a lot of wars at
Yeah.
that time.
So it was Afghans who came first to India. So, for example, a Rampuri cuisine. So, Avdi and Rampuri are very close to each other, but they are two different cuisines. Lucknowi is Avdi is towards the Mughal ancestors or a Nawab cuisine, and Rampuri is a Afghani cuisine.
Yes, chef. Yes.
And like you were saying about Punjab, so there is history. So we have done a research on Patiala. So your avocados were used in those era.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
called makhan fal. There is a thing.
Makhan fal,
There
yes.
is a dish called dudi halwa. Now, when we heard about dudi, we think about a loki, but actually dudi halwa was made with those fresh green गेहूं की जो बालियां होती हैं उनको पीस के. So when you churn, you get the white liquid. So that white liquid was doodh, and then everything was put together with ghee, sugar, and just bhuno. So you get a lumpy halwa. So that was called dudi halwa. So there's lot of things. And now, like for example, this dudi halwa is a unique concept. I will use it some in one of my dishes.
Thank you, chef.
So there is like a गन्ने की खीर that में बचे हुए चावल को गन्ने के जूस में डाल के just mix it.
Well,
So
we
they,
also called it kheer of raw.
yeah, raw kheer, exactly
Raw
raw
kheer.
kheer. Now all these dishes were there. Either it was taste or it was to because there was no place to store things. So
Yes.
they
Yes.
used to come up with the very interesting way of utilizing those dishes. Like a khamiri roti today is a luxury, but at that time, khamiri roti was a necessity. Because
Necessity. Yes.
today we are speaking about sustainability. Their sustainability was required. Like I come from Rajasthan, as I mentioned. In Rajasthan, it's a dry state. People have to walk a mile for a glass of water. So they were not growing anything.
Yes, chef.
So even a couple of years back, I started a thing where I showed thing which I learned from my one of my domestic help. She used to make तरबूज के छिलके की सब्जी, and then I did, and then everyone started. कोई हलवा बना रहा है तरबूज के छिलके में, कोई कुछ बना रहा है, कोई खीर बना रहा है. So it is nice things, and that's how history help us.
And I think also the makki ki roti and sarson ka saag became popularized at that time.
Yeah. Because the thing is, sarson ka saag kharab nahi hota.
Yes.
So it's about all those things.
Thank you, chef.
My pleasure. Anyone has any questions? Okay, so let me ask, why chilies were used in Indian cuisine? No one asked me. I mentioned about Maratha Varma. Who was Maratha Varma? So Maratha Varma had nothing to do with Mughal, but chilies were forced to use by Mughals. So Maratha Varma was the king of Travancore. There is a temple called Padmanabha something temple where there are multiple gates. So 4 gates were open, 4 rooms were open, and those rooms were filled with gold. So what is the assumption is those gold came from a black pepper trading only. So once you start reading, see, if we have to go through the Mughal history, there is a book called The Emperor's Table by Salma Hussain. I will suggest you to go through it. Though that's not 100% authentic, but you will get a lot of information there. It's a concise, some 100, 150 pages of Mughal history and Mughal cuisine. Don't look into dishes, don't copy paste those dishes, but you can customize those dishes as per your requirement. Yeah, Marthanda Varma, right, from Travancore. Absolutely, Dr. M. Devendra, purpose of adding chili. So chili is not a taste. As per Ayurveda, we say that there are 6 taste buds, but actually as per science, there are 4 plus 1 taste buds. 5th one is umami. A chili and estrogen is not taste, they are temperature. So when we add chili, it increases our body temperature and it helps in sweating and fight against the temperature. And yes, absolutely.
Yes.
The chili which comes from northeast is the second most spiciest chili. Anyone, any questions? Anyone wants to add anything?
This is Dr.
We are left with few minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Devendra.
Yeah. I just wanted to add, like, in Indian cuisine, first state to introduce this chili to the dishes was Andhra. History.
Sorry.
The addition of chili, the first state in India is Andhra
Yes.
Pradesh, which generated this history. In the history, it is very clear that chili is added because to retain the temperature and spiciness. Temperature not for the food, temperature for the body.
No, it's a body. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That chili is not a taste. It's not
correct.
a taste. It's a temperature.
Even
as
now
per
also,
Ayurveda, what we say that
Yes,
chili
correct.
is also a taste, but actually, as per food scientists, chili is not taste; it's temperature.
Yes,
We
yes,
don't have
that's correct.
sensor in our tongue for chili.
Yes. Saptarasas is there in Ayurveda. That also describes about the science of chili.
Yes. But before chili, it was black pepper which was raising the temperature. But when black pepper became super expensive,
If we go and see the history of black pepper, to add to your thought, the black pepper was it is used only for barter system, exchange of the because the chilies were valued less and the black pepper were valued more, so that used to be used for barter system.
Black pepper was the currency. It's called black gold. In fact, I would say the globalization happened because of black pepper.
Yes.
Agar black pepper nahi hota, Columbus would have not gone to America,
correct.
would have never discovered America. Vasco da Gama would have not come to India. Britishers would not come to India. They actually came as traders But
Yes,
when they realize that there is thing, and then armies start coming in and they could find our ways because our weaknesses, they
Yeah,
captured us.
it is known as basically Columbian exchange happened.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
around
And when
55.
the trading happened, black pepper became super expensive, like I mentioned, and that's why we were forced to use chili.
Yes, yes. That's it from my side. Thank you. Very good insights about cuisine and
Thank you,
historic.
Doctor. Anyone, anything wants to add?
Chef, we have a question in chat box. Do you find the existence of authentic Mughal touch recipe in the part of India present day?
Jyoti, I have done a festival, a pop-up, but I have not come across the dishes. The Mughlai inspired dishes, you can say, there are a lot of restaurants call themselves Mughlai, but I think they are more of Nawabi cuisine. But again, so what happened is there is no recipes mentioned in the history books. So there are poems where it says that वो चावल ही क्या चावल जो ना भिगोया हो 4 घंटे छाछ में. So we try to decipher, okay, so चावल को 4 घंटे छाछ में भिगो के करो. So that's how we think. Now, what was authentic Mughal dishes? I don't think anyone knows. Even I am the wrong person for that. बड़े से बड़ा historian को भी नहीं पता. So we cannot say कि है या नहीं. But as per our knowledge, it's modified and it evolved to suit local and today's palate. Because Mughal cuisine क्या है नहीं पता. हर राजा के टाइम में अलग थी. Every king has a different cuisine. So we don't know that. It's evolved. So, but the last cuisine what we know is Nawab, and we think it's the Nawab cuisine which is there. So like a Hyderabadi also has a Mughlai touch, and Lucknow also has a Mughlai touch. MP also has a Mughlai touch, and Murshidabadi also has a Mughlai touch. Aditya, I am not sure Patiala cuisine is Mughal, because Patiala again had a lot of influences, like they had a French queen also. In fact, we got a Patiala written documented few recipes which are few hundred years. And to give you a very nice interesting thing, that one of a mutton dish had, the recipe was in Tola, Basha, Masha, so easy to convert that. But we got stuck when it says cook it in 4 aane ka ghee. Now we don't know it's a 400 years old recipe or a 600-year-old recipe. So what is the value of 4 ana? 4 ana for 400 years would be different, and 800 years would be different, and 200 years would be different. So all these flavors are mix and batch. So I can't say that it's a mix of Patiala and Mughal, but the current Indian cuisine is a fusion of all the cuisines. So we are at 9 p.m., the time of winding up, but I'm more than happy because luckily in my session, there is no one who's there behind me. So if any question I can answer you, or like I mentioned, please feel free to DM me on my Instagram, and I'll try to answer it back. If I don't know, that will be a help to me, because that will push me to research more. I will do the research and I'll get back to you. I have a great passion to do research. Recently, we are also doing research on the tribal cuisines of India. So I took 10 chefs to Jharkhand in a tribal called Aso tribe. So who were gatherers, they are not hunters, they are not agriculturals. They go hunt, they forge, bring. So we're doing, so anything you have, please share. With me, I have Chef Parvinder Bali, who's my partner in crime. Together, we are running this concept. We have created a page called Shodawar. So if you are doing any research, if you have anything new data, unique data, please post, please tag Shodawar. We'll be more than happy to collaborate with you and take your research forward, because we have a lot of hunger. We know that we have not even touched a tip of an iceberg. There's lot to do. So we need help from each one of you.
Rashmi Gujarati ma'am raised her hand. I think she has some question.
Yeah, Rashmi.
Wait. I want to ask that why we use bay leaves in the food. Even the bay leaf has no taste.
ओके मैम, पहली चीज तो बे लीफ एंड तेज पत्ते में फर्क होता है. So that's a homework for you, that what is bay leaf, what is tej patta, and
Because
tej patte में flavor होता है.
I'm not from management, hotel management department.
मैम बे लीफ और तेज पत्ता को जैसे हम मैदे और रिफाइंड फ्लावर को एक ही चीज बोल देते हैं, मैदे और रिफाइंड फ्लावर में भी डिफरेंट होता है. सो दैट्स अ होमवर्क फॉर यू, फिगर दैट आउट. दूसरी चीज बे लीफ में टेस्ट होता है, तेज पत्ते में टेस्ट होता है, टेस्ट होता है.
मतलब उसका क्यों यूज करते हैं, सिर्फ टेस्ट के लिए?
मैम ओके, अगर आप उसमें जाते हैं तो ये एक बहुत ही अलग साइंस है, आयुर्वेदा है. आयुर इज एज, वेदा इज नॉलेज, साइंस. सो इट्स द कंसेप्ट ऑफ लॉन्ग एज. सो हर पत्ते का हर किसी का न्यूट्रिशन होता है, किसी के अंदर बिटरनेस होते हैं. So I'm not 100% sure. I'm just giving you a wild thing. I might be wrong. Maybe Dr. Devendra might be able to help because he is also knowledgeable the way he was speaking. But I think Tej Patta gives you some bitterness which helps in detoxifying your body too and balancing the what do you call it? Chakras in your body. So there is a concept called 5, 6, 7. There are 5 elements, 6 tastes, and 7 chakras in our body. So all these spices and herbs are used to balance them. But it's a huge topic. उसके लिए हमारे को कई दिन लग जाएंगे.
मतलब डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन हो गया ये तो.
मैम डिफिकल्ट नहीं है.
हाँ.
ये लंबा क्वेश्चन है.
Okay.
मैम आप खाने में इलायची क्यों डालते हो?
वही बात आ गई ना कि वहां पे भी टेस्ट आता है, इसमें खुशबू आती है.
तो आपका तेज पत्ते से भी आ रहा है. हमारे खाने का, हिंदुस्तान का अगर ऑथेंटिक खाना अगर आप देखेंगे तो उसमें रीजन्स के टेम्परेचर में क्या है, आपके बॉडी टाइप क्या है. आप अगर फिश खा रहे हो तो उसके अजवाइन डालते हैं, मटन डाल रहे हो तो आप ये डालते हो, क्योंकि उससे क्या होता है, आपकी जनरली जो स्ट्रॉन्गर मीट्स हैं उसमें तेज पत्ता, बे लीफ जरूरी होती है, क्योंकि एक बिटरनेस देके आपके बॉडी को बैलेंस करती है. जो मेरे को पता है, आई माइट बी रॉन्ग, आई एम नॉट एनी आयुर्वेदा गाय कैन चैलेंज मी ऑन दिस, आई माइट बी रॉन्ग, बट ये सब चीजें आपको बैलेंस करने के लिए डाली जाती है, आपके बॉडी को बैलेंस करने के लिए, बिकॉज फूड इज योर मेडिसिन. अगर आप ढंग से बैलेंस फूड खाते हैं, ये आयुर्वेदा के हिसाब से मसालों के सही डालते हैं, बिकॉज मसालों को पहले औषधि बोला जाता था. जस्ट टू पुट इट अक्रॉस टू एवरीवन, मसालों को मसाला नहीं बोला जाता, औषधि बोला जाता था. तो ये जैसे मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, वैद्य बताते थे शेफ को, जो हकीम बताते थे कि आप खाने में ये डालो, तो ये हकीमों ने बताया, शेफ ने उनको बैलेंस किया फ्लेवर से, बट ये खाना आपके हेल्थ के लिए डाला जाता था मसाले. टेस्ट तो बहुत बाद में आया है.
Okay, thank you, Cher, because I don't belong from your department, but this is the different question because as a woman, we are cooking. That is why this question I have raised.
मैम सारे आपने सिर्फ बे लीफ का बोला. द सेम क्वेश्चन अप्लाइज टू cinnamon, same applies for clove, same applies for all the spices.
Curry leaves also?
Absolutely. All these flavorings, though they give flavor to food, but they have scientific reasons because of health. Curry leaf is very good for health.
Yeah. Eating that raw is also, I have heard that it is also very good for hair, for skin and all.
Like for example, जिसके मुंह में ulcers काफी होते हैं, was saying that means they have a lot of heat in their body.
Yes.
So what happens is the bitterness balances those heats. So that's why any food element which gives you a lot of heat, you need bitter ingredients. And bitter is not only kadwa, bitter is तासीर.
Yeah.
टेस्ट और तासीर दो अलग चीजें होती हैं. So anything which is hot is not generally hot. उसकी तासीर आपके शरीर पे क्या आ रही है? बर्फ की तासीर ठंडी नहीं गर्म हो सकती।
गर्म होती है।
So तासीर क्या है? It all depend on that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Rashmi ji.
So I hope we are end with the questions. Does anyone having any other question? So thank you, Chef. You have answered all the question very well. Basically, I want to thank you to you on the behalf of whole PCT and the people who have asked you the questions and you have answered. A heartfelt thank you to Chef Bhasin for his inspiring session on Mughal cuisine. Your passion for preserving this rich culinary heritage and your ability to weave the history with flavor have provided us a good knowledge and left us in a surprise that yes, these all things were also there, and this is how the amalgamation of different cuisine has happened all over the India. We are grateful for your knowledge, stories, and techniques you shared, which has deepened our appreciation for the timeless cuisine. Thank you for your generosity and for inspiring us to celebrate food, tradition, and creativity. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Thank you.
We are ending the session here, and hopefully we'll see you at 2 p.m. tomorrow. That will be our last day for Atal Faculty Development Program.
All the best to everyone. And like I mentioned, if you had any question, you can message me directly. Thank you. Someone has Rishabh Paliwal has raised a hand. That might be the last question, please. Okay, I think he's just raised. He's not there. It will be by mistake.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you all. Bye-bye. Good night.
Thank you so much. Good night, everyone. Good night.
Good
all.
night. Bye.